Thank you everyone for joining us this evening. Sorry that we're starting a little bit late. We have apparently there's some parking issues around our area. And so we had to make sure our solicitors were here before we could begin. We do have other council members that are parking and filtering in. So so we'll get to that. So today is our Upper Darby Township Council meeting for September 22nd, 2021. At this point in time, if we could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And if we can remain standing for a moment of silence for Ray Sargent. He worked at the Walking Center. He also helped us to distribute food on Saturdays. This is the 1-year anniversary of my mother's death, Sally A. Allen. To all those who were lost in 9/11, as well as all those missing in action and prisoners of war. Yeah. This meeting is officially open. Can we get a roll call?
Yes. Councilor Coolidge,
Good afternoon, Upper Darby.
Michelle Lewis is here. Councilor Silva, he's probably running late.
Yes. Yes.
Councilor Blackwell, present. Councilor Gwynn,
Present.
Councilor Brooks,
Here.
Councilor Sadiq,
Present.
Councilor Moralia,
Here.
Councilor Barnett,
Here.
Councilor Wagner,
Here.
and Council President Wayne. Here. Everyone's here since the next Silva. He's probably running late.
Yes, he is. He has special needs excused. He will be here soon. Also want to acknowledge that Mayor Kepper is here. Solicitors Kilkenny and Richardson are here. CAO Raggioni is here. Municipal Clerk Chicotti is here. Sergeant of Arms Bateman is here. We also happen to have Superintendent Bernhardt here. And a whole lot of amazing officers, as well as Superintendent Bernhardt, but amazing officers throughout our Upper Darby and surrounding municipalities. So we want to thank you all for being here. And District Attorney Jack Schultzheimer is here, and others from his office. So we want to thank you all for you being here with us this evening, and we greatly appreciate all that you do. Okay, so next up, we have rules of meeting decorum. Upper Darby Township Council and residents will maintain professional respect for each other. Council encourages free speech, however, civility is required, which would prohibit threats, profanity, scandalous, impertinent, and redundant comment, or any comment the discernible purpose of which is to disrupt or prevent the conduct of business of the meeting. Also want to point out that with COVID and everything, we do obviously have a tight fit today. But if you are going to be standing up and filming this meeting, we have designated a filming section in the back to the right where all these fabulous officers are standing at the moment. But if you do feel the need to stand and film, please film from back there. So in order to respect the space of everyone else in the room. Okay. And also that masks are required in this building at all times. Okay, so just wanted to take care of that little housekeeping. So next up, we have, can I get a motion to approve the minutes for the committee meeting of August 4th, 2021?
Like to make a motion.
So I hear Gwynn and Blackwell. And Councilman Silva is here. Are there any questions or concerns on the minutes of August 4th? Seeing none, all those in favor, please turn on your microphone because we are being recorded live and everyone needs to be able to hear you. So all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say your name. Thank you. Ayes have it. Can we get a motion to approve the minutes for the council meeting for August 18th?
I'd like to make a motion, please.
I see so Sadiq and Gwen. Great. Are there any questions or concerns on these minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor of passing the minutes of August 18th, 2021, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say your name.
I abstain, Madam Chair.
Okay,
I was not here at the meeting.
gotcha. Please make sure to send the email to,
I'll do that.
thank you. Okay, great. So next up, we have the Honorable Ms. Brian Pepper. Take it away.
Oh,
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry I hopped around. My bad. I was just hopping to the, what it's been for. So, okay, you're right. We have a public forum. We have a list. All right. So please. So for the public forum, everyone will get 3 minutes, please. Sorry. Everyone will get 3 minutes. Please state your name and your address. Thank you. You must copy it.
Mr. David Bantu.
Hello, everyone. My name is David Banto.
Sir, you have to speak to the council
Okay. I'm
or
sorry.
here.
This is my first time. So.
It's okay. It's okay.
All right.
All good. Oh, and we're gonna time you. I'm sorry, I forgot to set up my timer. That was my bad.
All right.
So can you also say your address, sir?
Yeah, my name is David Banto. I'm a resident of Millbank Road, 520 Millbank. So I'm here today to, first of all, speak on what is going on around the block. But I'm going to begin with thanking every one of you, the mayor, our police chief. It was an incident recently, and we had a meeting with the township group right down the street. For those of you that were at the meeting, I want to, really thank you. Now we have street lights day and night, and everything is fine with the light. So it's just a sad situation as resident that the authorities should involve with us, in the community to plan and all of those different things. It's sad. We should take responsibility of our own environment. So today, I'm here to let you know that right after the meeting, I was able to go down, from block to block as usual, meet with residents, and we were able to come up with a team so that we can take complete control of our own environment. So as I speak, we schedule a cleanup campaign for Little Croft and Millbank Road on October 3rd. That's going to be a major cleanup. So for now, people are, complaining about citation, but they need to understand that this is what happens if you don't do what you have to do. So now we have come together that we're going to be cleaning the neighborhood. So I can assure everyone here today that our team will work with you to make sure that we keep eyes on the community and always update you on everything. Now, I'm here with one major request. I don't know if that would be okay, but the resident asked me during the cleanup campaign if the authority can help us with a dumpster that we can put all the trash in. They just take everything at the end of the cleanup campaign. Thank you.
Mr. David, do you set any time on October 3rd?
Yeah,
What time?
it's 9 a.m. I'm going to put the flyer on the website. But it's 9 a.m. to 11 a.m.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good job.
Sir, just wanted to thank you and everyone who came out to that meeting. We can definitely work with the mayor on how to take away the trash. There are a lot of cleanups that we've done throughout the realm. And it hasn't always been we don't necessarily have a dumpster to bring to you, but it's about scheduling for our trash department to come and get it on the Monday afterwards.
Okay.
So, yeah, we'll definitely work away, and we'll try to attend as much as we can.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't mind, it's just a matter of, because it's on a Sunday, so we don't want for trash, to be all over the place again. That's,
Right,
but we can,
yeah, so we'll work on it.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next is, Ms. Paula Ann Sabatino.
Hello, everyone. Paula Sabatino, Recovery Without Barriers, 4715 Woodland Avenue in Drexel Hill. I'm here to represent Recovery Without Barriers in a situation that happened a few weeks ago. We went down there to drop off cupcakes and water to another group that was there to feed the homeless, and as it's not uncommon for us to do that. The situation broke out, and I have statements here about what exactly happened, and I'm going to supply each of you with. Is it okay if I just give them the Vince?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
After that situation, I was informed by Mr. Alberts that he was there in order to protect the EMTs from our group, which blindsided me because we were not informed of any problem. Apparently, there were meetings with township officials and the EMTs before and after this incident where we were supposedly the topic of conversations with township officials. We were not informed of any of these meetings. We were not asked to be at any of these meetings that were said to be about us. We take the integrity of Recovery Without Barriers very seriously as an organization and as individuals. We have every right to be included on any meeting where we are the topic. We are making it very clear that no one outside of Recovery Without Barriers speaks for us. Recovery Without Barriers includes myself, Juan Sabatino, Tina Hamilton, and Letty Knapp. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is, Ms. Tina Hamilton.
Good afternoon, or good evening, actually. Can you hear me? Because I can't hear you. When I come here,
Wait, your
Oh,
name, your
all
address.
right, Tina Hamilton, 4715 Woodland Avenue, Drexel Hill, PA. And I'm here representing Recovery Without Barriers. And no one else represents Recovery Without Barriers except for the list that you gave. We speak for ourselves. When I have thoughts or issues with this administration, I bring it to you. I in turn expect the same. Assuming you know is not a fact. Questions concerning RWB and what we do, how we are funded, or issues with EMTs should be brought to me. To hear my name being as a threat, to hear RWB as interfering in the care of the homeless community where the PD is approached and comments made that officers are called to protect anyone for any reason from RWB should it came to me. Meet with me, call me, not make unfounded story turn into an unfounded fact. That is what was allowed by Scott Alberts a few weeks ago. If you speak of RWB, have facts, have both sides. You say my name with anything negative, I have every right to be heard, to remove or mend a negative thought. I mentioned an incident in 69th Street, described the man involved. The only response was for personal insult to my description of that man. I deserve an apology for that. There was no thank you for what we do. No thank God Paul Ann felt the need to intervene. No, just a comment regarding race. I find that ridiculous. Race does not belong in any conversation regarding RWB. What we do and who we serve have nothing to do with hate. We serve all, regardless of race or who they voted for. We serve them all. I have come before you to no avail. No one calls, no contact. Talk about being frustrated. That's me. I'm very frustrated. All right, where the heck was I? All right. All I ask is for you, your administration, to reach out to the county council, find out why what has always been available is not now. In hopes that your concerns to the homeless along with 69th Street would also help us help them get answers to this community. I understand the responsibility is on the county, but yours is to our citizens and in homes or on our streets. We have invited you all to come down. We have invited the conversation. We have never heard anything from anyone. You all know how to contact me. I am proud of the work RWB does. I stand by it proudly. We are a positive group. Questions with RWB or my name, ask me. My phone is 24 hours a day. The invite to 69th Street has been out there. I have gotten no response except for negativity when we do the positive work. Please never assume, just ask. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Ms. Terry Brighton.
Terry Bradley. I have a timer as well. I live at 1213 Morgan Avenue. And I'll start now. 2 hazardous 100-foot trees just feet from my home. 6 arborists have declared the trees a death spiral. Another massive limb fell this week, 7 in 1 month. Mayor Keffer could not care less. She claims yet another arborist, unknown and unnamed, has examined the trees and declared them safe. No self-respecting arborist would be willing to put his reputation on the line nor serve in secret. So this I say to Mayor Keffer, who campaigned on transparency. Prove it. Mayor Keffer finds enforcing public safety laws too messy, dismissively suggesting that we should all just sue each other if public safety is what we crave. And she hides information from the voters. That's not what voters bargained for. She punishes the good citizens of this township who live by the code and rewards people who ignore it to the detriment of others. As bad as that is less problematic than government officials who neglect us. Because you all associate with it. You are now inextricably tied to her. She has squandered what is estimated to be hundreds of thousands of dollars on weaponizing lawyers against us, all the while our police officers drive around in patrol cars without computers, and our fire department has been rated below average in safety with decrepit equipment. 3 major public safety arenas, all under the direct supervision of Mayor Keffer, and nothing or the wrong thing has been done. You members of council are equally responsible because you each sit in committees that oversee these public safety measures. What is staggering is how you allow this to happen and yourselves to be dragged down. Mr. Gwynn, you're a gentleman, sincere and kind. Why would you have allowed yourself to be associated with this negligence of your constituents? Mr. Burke, you have a reputation for not taking any guff, for supporting every public safety measure available to protect your constituents. None of what Mayor Keffer has done can sit right with you. What could those lawyers' fees have done for our limping fire departments? You say nothing. Ms. Phillips, you've benefited from loyalty and discretion. You serve at large. Everyone is your constituent. How have you not publicly spoken up about the neglects? Being a newbie goes just so far before you have to take responsibility for what is happening. And Mr. Tunis, I have been present when old heads have bickered and your more level head has prevailed, sending each to their corners and pushing the meeting along. That maturity and intelligence has served you well. Why not employ it to protect your constituents? Because what she does to one constituent, she'll do to all. And while I'm grateful to Mr. Wagner, who spoke publicly about this neglect, it is disingenuous to say you have no knowledge of a gag order because Mayor Keffer took that right out of your playbook. I saw it happen with the last young solicitor that was propped up here to do everyone else's dirty work. How can you allow yourselves to be associated with that sort of embarrassing betrayal of the citizens of this township? At the last meeting, I misspoke. I stated that the reason why Mayor Keffer was neglecting public safety with impunity, I have more time, was because she figured out that there was no accountability and therefore no repercussions. While there is a shameless lack of accountability, there are repercussions. Laura Wentz is up for re-election and so is Matt Silva, but soon all of you will be. Do you think you're beyond the voters' reproach? I recently spoke to an elder in the Democratic committee who said,
You're out of time.
Terry, gather all your
Now you're out
people.
of
No,
time.
I'm not. I
You
still
are
have
out
some
of
time. Who
You
have
are out
treated
of
you bad,
time.
vote them out.
You are out of time.
And I hope that's
You're out of
exactly
time.
what happens.
You're out of order. You're out of time. Thank you very much.
You let others go over.
You're out of time.
You let others go over time.
You're out of time.
Thank you, Ms. Bradley. Next is Mr. Pappas. Pappas.
Hi, my name's Spiro Pappas. I live at 2423 Cedar Lane, Drexel Hill, Pennsylvania. First and foremost, I want to commend these fine officers in the back and congratulate them with a final job they're doing, protecting our township. I also want to tell Commissioner Bernhardt he has awful big shoes to fill because our former police commissioner, Mr. Chipwood, was a fine police commissioner. So I hope he can fill those shoes. I'm here to talk today about three resolutions. I don't know what you have a resolution for the planning commission. I'm not sure if you have a hearing for that.
Yeah, that's an ordinance, and we do have a hearing for that, so you can speak on it during the hearing.
Okay. I'm here today I don't know about what's going on with our park in the back of 2400 block of Cedar Lane. It seems that it's been a mistreated park. There are tall trees in there that have to be cut down. They're almost dead. They're very tall. There's a tall tree right by the common driveway. It looks like it's about ready to fall on a house. The neighbor did call the township, and they said it was his responsibility to take care of that tree. How is it his responsibility when it's in the park? I don't understand that at all. We had to call, several neighbors had to call to get the grass cut. There are dead trees that have fallen, dead branches that have fallen that have not been picked up in the park. There's two more resolutions that I want to speak up against, and that's the you decriminalized marijuana. You said that was putting a black mark on the black and brown people. I don't see how that can be. What happens if they go apply for a job and they get drug tested? Isn't that the same consequence? That you're even though you're not putting a criminal record on them, they can't even get a job because they're smoking pot. The other resolution is you passed a resolution or ordinance that the landlords cannot kick anybody, cannot evict anybody out of their apartments for not paying rent. How can they not pay rent when all these jobs open now, and the Supreme Court found that's because.
Sorry, you're technically out of time. You're talking about one is an ordinance that has already been passed.
I understand that, but
Councilman Tunis would like to respond against it about it, and one was a resolution that was also a federal mandate, a federal mandate that we supported. But sir, your time.
You're not letting me respond to that.
No, your time is up, but Councilman Tunis wanted to respond to one of your comments. Both, sorry, yes.
Yeah, I'll bring both of those items forward. First of all, good afternoon, Mr. Pappas. As far as the decriminalization of marijuana, the intended goal was, and this is all on YouTube, it's public record, it's for the entire township, right? This is something that affects a vast amount of communities within our township. Where we were just taking it from a misdemeanor to a summary citation offense. One of the things that we found on council was we needed to put our officers in a better position, right? We were putting them in a position to disconnect from the community. So it was on us as township officials to bring something forward that also was affecting communities. So we decriminalize it, it's not legal. It's still being enforced. It's a $50 citation, and it's all individuals, right? If an individual consumes marijuana, whether they have a medical card or however they do, I'm pretty sure they're aware of what jobs they can and cannot apply for. As far as the resolution, that was intended to ask our officials above us on the state level and federal level to support this. Because firsthand, as the constituent service advisor, I saw firsthand what many residents face and so did many of my colleagues. So this was something we felt was very appropriate at the time. And as you can see, we're moving forward to, as we're exiting out of COVID-19, we're hoping to. So that's just really what I have to say, President. So thank you for your comment.
Thank you.
That eviction,
Sir, your time's up. Yes.
Mr. Pappas, so, the eviction moratorium was lifted on September 30th. So, and I'm sorry, on September 30th, it will be lifted. So, and that was something that the CDC did, the, Congress and everyone, they were fighting about it to put it back in. And the CDC said that the government does not have any jurisdiction over that. So it's going to happen. Sir, you spoke to, can I speak? I just want to reply to what you said. That's all, you know, that's just want to make sure that the facts are out there. Just want to make sure that the facts. And it will be lifted on September 30th, 2021. I don't think there's anything that can be done about that because that's the United States that's going there. That's the CDC that's going there. And as far as the restriction about the marijuana, it's such a small amount. And I agree with my colleague here, when someone's going to look for a job, they know what kind of job it is, right? You know, and I don't think they're going to be smoking marijuana. And if they do, they're not going to get the job. So I think, and it's going to be on that individual. Again, marijuana in large amounts is not, we're not saying, yes, let's smoke marijuana, but it's a small amount and you're not going to be able to do anything criminal with it. You know, and if you do, you know, our police officers will arrest you. Yeah. So, next is,
I just wanted to say, it was passed unanimously.
Yes.
yes.
Next is Miss Olivia Taylor.
Olivia Taylor, 204 Kent Road. There are two things I'm going to speak about tonight, but first I want to state this for the record. Laura, I find it ironic that you start the meeting off wanting to give honor to the POWs, but yet the flag is not flown in this building. Every municipality in the state of Pennsylvania has the state flag, the American flag, and the POW flag. Just wanted to state that for the record. Now, my first comment is about 69th Street. I spoke about this, how it's nothing but a roller coaster. I now have to get an alignment and two new front control arms. Technically, Sadiq and Michelle, which is 6th District, I would like to know what, if anything, have you done or contacted PennDOT about this roller coaster we all call a street? Because now I have to come out of my pocket.
You're talking about the part of
Between Walnut and Marshall.
going downhill where the
Yes.
pavement has shifted.
It has buckled.
It buckled in the heat.
No, it buckled because the cars were allowed back on there before it settled, along with the buses.
We are aware of it. I believe they're trying to resolve that issue because it does affect all vehicles, and our fire department has had issues with it as well.
I'm quite sure they do. Their trucks is bigger than my little car, because I'm sure they do. My second issue is what's happening on Long Lane? Why are these smoke shops popping up 24 hours a day? Huh? Who done this? Who allowed this? So why is it in our neighborhood?
I'm
Just direct to Sadiq, because majority of these places are Indian owned.
No, yeah, is there any other things that you wanted to bring up?
I'm sorry. I just voiced a concern. I'm not going to get an
This is public
answer.
comment, not a question and answer, please.
Well, excuse me, you're a
Yes, ma'am.
solicitor. You don't have the right to
Yes, I
address
do.
me.
I have the right
No,
to
you do
protocol.
not.
So
You
please make your
address me
comments and
when I
move
have a
on.
lawyer.
Thank
You do not have the right to address me.
Thank you.
You are not part of this body.
you,
You
ma'am.
represent her.
Thank you, ma'am.
Excuse me, my time is not up.
And I did.
Thank you. And please don't address me again.
Please complete your comments, ma'am.
I asked a question. How in the world was this allowed? And why wasn't the residents told
This
about
is
it?
not a question and answer, ma'am. Make your
Excuse
comments and
me,
move on.
stop addressing me. You have no authority to speak to me as a resident of Upper Darby Township. You represent her. You don't have any
I don't
authority.
represent her, I represent all of council in Upper Darby, so please.
Excuse me, you don't have authority to say anything
Put your
to
mask
me.
on, ma'am.
Okay? Don't just give me directives. I asked the question. Sadiq, you are counsel for the 6th district. I asked you a question. Mr. Solicitor, I advise you not to say nothing else to me because I have a lawyer. And if you want to talk to me, you talk to my attorney. I am
Thank you
talking to
very
my
much, ma'am.
counsel
I have to
person.
follow-
I am talking to my counsel person, not you.
Ma'am, this is public comment.
Exactly.
Answer.
And I have a
Thank you,
concern.
ma'am. I believe your time is almost
No,
up.
it's not. It is not. I'm not going anywhere. And I'm in a room full of officers. Now what? I asked you a question as my counsel. How in the world are these smoke shops allowed to open up 24
Ma'am, you do
hours?
not demand answers of council members. You have an opportunity to comment. and move
I
on.
made a statement and I
Move on,
asked a
ma'am.
question. I'm not
Move on,
moving
ma'am.
anywhere. We're gonna
Move
stay
on,
right
ma'am.
here. We're gonna stay right here, sir.
Ma'am.
Don't address me again. You're sitting here like a log and not saying anything. Say something. And the comment that he made about these landlords, you were one indicted as being a slumlord. Now, have you went after him?
Ma'am, you.
Stop answering me. I am not talking to you. I am talking to my
You're talking
counsel.
to me, ma'am. Move on.
Okay? I'm not moving anywhere. I would like an answer.
Your time is up.
No, it's not.
It is up.
No,
Your
it's not.
time is up.
I asked a
Your
question.
time is up.
Still up. Now
Your
what?
time is up.
Nope.
You are out of order.
I still am. Still am.
You're out of order.
In fact, he used my
Your time
time.
is up and you are out
I
of
get
order.
30 more seconds from him
Your time
interrupting
is
me.
up. I did pause it while we were.
No,
while
you
we were
didn't.
trying-
Stop
I did
lying.
too.
No, you didn't.
I did.
I asked you a
And the time
question.
is up and you are out of order. Sergeant Barnes, please remove her from.
I'm not going anywhere. My tax dollars pay the lights in here.
You are out of order. Please listen to our Sergeant at Arms.
You're a waste of
Please
space.
listen to our Sergeant at Arms.
You are truly a waste of space, every last one of
You
you.
are out of order.
I still am.
You are out of order.
This is not my
You are
first
out of
time.
order.
It's not the last. I'm sick of them.
You're out
You don't
of
hold a
order.
candle to time of cozy O'Brien.
You're out of order.
You are a clown. You are
You're out
destroying
of
this
order.
township. And I am going to the front lines. Throwing
You're out of
anybody
order.
guns out of here. Well,
You're out of order.
she got a nerve to want to
You're out of order.
W. You got the flag, but you can fly a rainbow
You're
flag.
out of order.
You clown.
You're out of order.
Shut up.
And you're out of order. Go ahead.
So, Mr. Brian Taylor.
Good evening.
Hello.
Brian Sharif Taylor, U.S. Army retired combat veteran. My address is 7258 Landport Road. I have come up here many times asking for you to host the POW or MIA flag. I don't know if you have ever noticed, but if you travel throughout Delaware County, there is some form of representation of veterans who have passed. And that flag is also a representation of firefighters and police officers who have passed. And we have a room full of police officers. One question that I have for everyone: how many police officers are veterans? Do anyone know? How many firefighters are veterans? Now I'm gonna change perspective. I'm gonna come to you as someone who has traveled to a distant land where I have lost people, and then come back here and try to understand just the bickering and the disrespect that American society has. I'm not here to argue. I'm not here to get thrown out. I try to basically come to people with professionalism but sometimes it gets frustrating. Because as a veteran, I was in terrible shape last week during 9/11, because I remember some of the things that I had to suffer through, or not just myself, but family members who have lost people. And it's not being disrespectful, it's just basic common sense. And that's not to negate your intelligence, but this is everywhere around the county. And may I have an answer to that question? Because the last time you said I made a political statement, I wasn't trying to make a political statement.
No, you absolutely may have an answer. And if I recall, the last time I actually said I appreciated you addressing the council and the mayor with respect and decency, unlike some of the people who have attempted to address this issue. And I have worked with council people, and as we discussed, the third Friday in September is National POW MIA Recognition Day, and the flag was flown accordingly with the flag protocol as established by the Department of Defense on National POW MIA Recognition Day and over the weekend to honor the day and fly the flag, and it will be flown on the 5 other days that are designated by DOD to fly the flag.
My next question is, you guys know about the outreach week, John. There's been a lot of turmoil, and I'm sure you got paperwork dealing with the incident that happened. The only thing that we ask when you're actually coming out to help someone, to leave your own ego, arrogance, or your problem that you are dealing with yourself at home. Because the objective when you're coming out to help someone is to help someone that is in need. It is not about you. It's not even about the person that's standing right next to you. It's actually time for us to start giving back to each other, and it's taking these blinders off, thinking that we're in this rat race against each other. When there's people out here dying from drug overdose, suicide, mental health. I mean, we've been dealing with this coronavirus that has, you might as well say, our whole society scared. And I'm asking you as leaders to stand up. That's not putting you down, but I need for you to actually come out to the community, see some of the things that are being done by people that you might not even like, or might not just want to be around, but look at some of the work that they're doing. Thank you for your time. You have a good night.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Next is Lee Jordan.
Good evening. Lee Jordan, 90 Pilgrim Lane, Drexel Hill, 19026. If I can, Madam President, I have a handout that I'd like to give to the CEO for all the administration and council members. I'm not sure if you remember, but a couple months ago, I stood in front of all of you and I discussed my concern about the speeding and the drag racing that was occurring on Township line. There was technical difficulties that evening in getting in touch with the superintendent of police through the phone. I never did get a phone call back. And then September 10th happened. We had a horrific accident happen right in the area that I was trying to address a couple months ago. I am asking you as a council and administration, when you have community members that express a concern who live in that area, to please do something about it. I know Township Line is a state road, but now since this accident, I see the state police are there. And I know that there is they're monitoring the traffic. But I think that this really could have been prevented. We heard at 6:45 on that Friday morning, the car speeding. We heard the hit. And then we waited for the response. It was horrific. And it could have been 10 times worse. So as our leaders, when people stand up here and say there's a concern, I am asking you to please act on it then. And maybe some of these things can be prevented. That's all I have to say.
Madam President, may I have the floor?
Yes, ma'am.
This particular accident that Mrs. Jordan is referring to, that took place on September 10th, caused some very serious damage, not only to the vehicles that you see, but to the people involved. At least one of our neighbors, Ms. Jordan and I live in the same community. We know the person that is seriously injured as a result of this accident. He is well known in the community. When I say the community, in Upper Darby Township as a whole. He was very much involved in a public position and several years back. And we are very concerned, and I've heard this not only from Ms. Jordan, but from other residents in our particular neighborhood about how long it took for the ambulances, the medical assistance to arrive. The person that I'm referring to that is injured has serious brain injury. He is in a rehabilitation facility, or he will be, I should say. I think he's still in a critical care facility in a hospital. Is that correct? That's what we believe. And I'm just going to ask the administration if you would please look into this particular occurrence, this particular accident, and conduct a bit of an investigation on why it took so long for medical assistance to arrive, and perhaps report back, at least to me, so I can report back to the community, what was the cause of that? Why was it delayed? And what can we do to make sure that kind of delay of response does not happen in the future? So I would appreciate the administration to assist with that information.
Yeah. Yes. Councilman Burnett, we will look into it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And as you can clearly see, that driver was not going 35 miles an hour based on the impact. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jordan. And investigate for public health.
Okay. So, now we're up to Mayor OBrien. How you doing? Good evening, everyone. Tonight, I will ask council for their support of two departmental director appointments, Timothy Bernhardt as our police superintendent and Joe Martin as our public works director. Superintendent Bernhardt can be sworn in tonight, and Director Martin is taking a professional development course as we speak, and I can swear him in tomorrow. Tonight, council will also vote on an ordinance to establish a planning commission for Upper Darby. The planning commission will ensure community input on development projects much earlier in the process than previously. Prior to this ordinance, Upper Darby was or is, upon passing, the largest municipality in Pennsylvania without a planning commission, and creating one was part of my campaign platform. The meetings are open to the public and the members of the commission are residents of our township. The Upper Darby International Festival is Saturday, October 2nd, from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. at the Five Points intersection at 100 New York Road, right outside the municipal building. We are grateful to our generous sponsors who are making this year's festival a reality, and we will be featuring a variety of great food, music, and cultural performances, and more at this free and family-friendly event. We are looking for a few more volunteers for the festival. If you are available to help, please email festival@upperdarby.org or call 610-734-7712. Also, you can follow the festival's Facebook page for additional updates, including the announcement of this year's performer lineup. Fire Prevention Week is October 3rd through October 9th of this year, and the theme is Learn the Sounds of Fire Safety. Upper Darby Fire Chief Derek Sawyer and his department are planning a township-wide fire drill on the afternoon of Monday, October 4th. This will entail a mock fire drill at a house in Upper Darby, where the occupants will use their escape plan to exit the house, and the fire department's response to the drill.
A community fire prevention event is also scheduled between 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. on Friday, October 1st at Observatory Field, located at St. Lawrence and Westchester Pike. Free food and other refreshments will be available. We will be holding our next identity theft protection event for Upper Darby residents at Upper Darby High School on Saturday, October 9th from 9 a.m. to 12 noon. We will be accepting paper items for shredding with a limit of two boxes per vehicle, as well as electronic waste such as old laptops, cell phones, and small electronics. We are not able to take television. This event will also feature a drug take-back van in partnership with the Delaware County District Attorney's Office. Lastly, I would like to read a proclamation in honor of Hispanic Heritage Month 2021, which began last Wednesday. Whereas between September 15th and October 15th each year, Hispanic Heritage Month is observed by celebrating the histories, cultures, and contributions of Americans whose ancestors came from Spain, Mexico, the Caribbean, and Central and South America. And whereas this tradition started in 1968 as Hispanic Heritage Week under President Lyndon Johnson and was expanded by President Ronald Reagan in 1988 to cover a 30-day period. It was enacted into law on August 17, 1988. And whereas Hispanic Heritage Month begins in the middle of September instead of at the start of the month, because September 15th coincides with National Independence Days in several Latin countries, including Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, Nicaragua, and Costa Rica. Mexico celebrates its independence on the 16th, Chile on the 18th, and Belize on the 21st. And whereas America has always drawn its strength from the contributions of a diverse people, people of Hispanic backgrounds are advancing our economy, improving our communities, and bettering our country. During Hispanic Heritage Month, let us renew our commitment to ensuring ours remains a society where talents and potential of all its members can be fully realized, and to honoring the achievements of Hispanic Americans in Upper Darby and across the United States. Now therefore, I, Barbara Ann Keffer, Mayor of Upper Darby, along with Township Council, do hereby proclaim September 15th through October 15th, 2021 as Hispanic Heritage Month in Upper Darby, and encourage the entire community to recognize and participate in its observance. Thank you and have a good evening.
Great, thank you. All right, so next up we have resolution number 4421. Can we get a reading of the resolution?
Thank you, President. Resolution 4421, a resolution of Upper Darby Township, Delaware County, Pennsylvania, appointing Timothy M. Bernhardt as Upper Darby Police Department Superintendent, repealing inconsistent resolutions or parts thereof, containing a severance clause, and providing for an effective date. Whereas Timothy M. Bernhardt has faithfully and admirably served in his role as the interim superintendent of the Upper Darby Police Department. Whereas Section 403J of the Home Rule Charter of Upper Darby Township provides that the mayor appoint heads of departments, offices, and agencies with the approval of council. Now therefore, be it and here it is hereby resolved by the Upper Darby Township Council and hereby adopted and resolved by the authority of the same as follows. Timothy M. Bernhardt is hereby appointed as superintendent of the Upper Darby Police Department. There is a repealer clause, a severability clause, and this is effective immediately. So is the reading.
Great, thank you. Can we get a motion to approve resolution 44-21? So everyone. So Alexis, you can figure out which one you want to go with. I heard everyone, I heard both, so. The only reason why I didn't, because I'm not allowed, so. Okay. Yes, there was second, there was. First and seconded by everyone.
Yeah.
So, anyone want to speak about this resolution?
Yeah, I could.
Go ahead.
You heard a lot of people trying to, move or second this resolution because it enjoys absolutely bipartisan support. It's no secret that I once in a while disagree with our administration about some things. But I don't disagree with the administration about this. I think this is a fantastic appointment. I commend the mayor and the administration for making this appointment. And I think it's really an important moment in the history of Upper Darby Township that despite all the differences that we all have in not just this community, but the nation at large, we have utterly bipartisan support for the appointment of a police superintendent, which is a highly sensitive and extremely important position. It's because we got a great candidate for it. I just am going to be real proud to vote in support of this resolution. I hope everybody else does.
Great. Anyone else? Councilman Taylor?
Yes, I want to echo some of the words that Councilman Bernhardt also said. I just want to congratulate Superintendent Bernhardt and under his leadership as well, partnership with Mayor Keffer, bringing in that diverse class. I've seen officers that started off as bike cops as a young man walking from Beverly Hills, now in different roles, in higher roles. And that's something that's great to see. And it seems like a lot of the residents of the township feel as though Superintendent Bernhardt has the ability to listen. And due to the Citizens Police Academy, it was also great to see their perspective. And that all comes from leadership. So I do want to congratulate Superintendent Bernhardt. Thank you for your service and all the officers.
Yeah, I know. I'd like to tell off that the winter of 2020 is when we had he provided the police academy for council. And it was a great experience for all of us who took part. We got to learn the inner workings of what you guys do, the reasons for the number of officers in any, pullover situation, why there's so many cars. Everyone wants to know, why are there so many cars? And it's the number of individuals involved plus one. Just make sure our officers are protected and that they are able to de-escalate any situation at any point in time, and they have the force to do it. We learned so much from you and the officers of Upper Darby that, and all that you've done with all the different things that has happened over the last 20 months. You have been amazing, and I'm getting teared up. So I'm gonna stop talking. You rock, and I look forward to this vote. Thank you. Anyone else?
I do. I just want to say thank you. Thank you to all the officers. I think you guys are good, guys and women. And thank you for hiring a lot of women, because we rock.
Yes.
And I appreciate that. And I appreciate you and all your fellow officers of keeping us safe. I appreciate you giving me a fist bump whenever you see me. I appreciate you being approachable. And I think that's what our township needs. That's what our world needs. Because I agree with the fellow councilman Wagner about, we may be divided in some things, but I don't think anybody is divided in safety and wanting peace. So I thank you guys all for all of that for wanting to keep us safe. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Council President, and thank you, thanks, Superintendent Bernhardt. The way you handled adversity over these last 2 years has really impressed me. You're very methodical, you're very level-headed, and you're calm, and I think that's a huge asset to the community, and the results show that. The way you handled the incidents like last summer was really impressed me. And then the other thing that really impresses me is that anytime I text you that there's a light out or the resident has a question, you get back to me like immediately. And I know that's a good comfort to the residents too, when I can respond to them quickly with these concerns. So, I appreciate your ability. Thank you.
Great. Councilman Speak.
I'd like to say Upper Darby Township is a very diverse community, and a lot of immigrant people live over here. And I always see the difference under superintendent leadership that 69th Street is already under control. Crime has gone down a lot because of the service and the officers are always in 69th Street area. I would like to request that department to, in future, having some more immigrant police officer to communicate with the constituent. We want also that Upper Darby Police is friendly to the people of this township, not to be scared, but to be friendship between the police department and the constituent. Thank you and congratulations.
Great. Anyone else? Great. Seeing none. All those in favor of resolution 44-21, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say your name. I carry. Thank you. It passes. Mayor Pepper will swear in Superintendent Bernhardt.
So. No, I thought if we put it in between us, then we can.
This is however you need.
Well,
Yes. There you go.
so normally this is a quiet affair, swearing in. I've done a couple since I've been in, but this outpouring and your attendance and the, acclamation of council unanimously shows the support that Tim has. And I know it's a big day for him and for his family. I wanted to say a couple things before I swear him in. Over the last couple days, myself, CAO Rangione, and Tim were talking about different things that we've worked on together over the last 19, 20 months, right? And it's a long list of things. I'm just going to list a couple of things that I'm especially proud of. And so one of them is Tim worked really hard with the administration and council to change the civil service code to allow, and the result was that we have the most diverse class and the most qualified class of officers to start. Over the last year, there's been about 20 that have been sworn in. One of my goals is to have a really community focus with the police department, and Tim has been on board with everything, including when we gave back the Army tank. To me, that's a very strong signal that Upper Darby is not an occupied territory. Tim was on board with it right away. It allows us to have more resources for foot patrol and for our canine units and for our bike unit. It's been just great in general working with Tim. He knows how to talk to people. He works with our major stakeholders, the school district, the largest developer on 69th Street, SEPTA. He knows how to work with the other departments in the county. And I could keep going on and on, but I think I want Tim to kind of wrap, to talk about it too. I do want to say one thing. Today, a reporter called me, and one of the questions he asked was, when I started, why didn't I just fire Tim? Because he had been appointed by the previous administration. And I thought, well, I didn't fire everybody, contrary to popular belief, when I got in, because I believe in the community. I believe in giving people a chance. And I think I'm pretty open-minded. And we worked with Tim right away. When I say we, a lot of it was myself and CAO Rangione. And Tim's done a lot of professional development. He's brought in a lot of training that we didn't have before. And he's also very committed to developing, along with his team, a PAL program. And that's important. It's important for the community. And it's great to have him and to have him be a public speaker for us, because he's very calm, like Matt Silva had said. But He's got a Bible. I think we'll get on with the,
If my children call Addison Taylor, would you come up and hold this for me, please?
I, Timothy Bernhardt,
I, Timothy Bernhardt,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
or affirm
or affirm
that I will well and truly perform
that I will well and truly perform
the duties of Superintendent
the duties of Superintendent
of the Upper Darby Township Police Department,
of the Upper Darby Township Police Department,
Delaware County, Pennsylvania,
Delaware County, Pennsylvania,
that I will at all times obey
that I will at all times obey
and enforce the laws
and enforce the laws
of the United States of America,
of the United States of America,
the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania,
the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania,
the Home Rule Charter,
the Home Rule Charter,
the Administrative Code,
the Administrative Code,
and the ordinances of Upper Darby Township,
and the ordinances of Upper Darby Township,
that I will obey the commands
that I will obey the commands
of the mayor and township leaders
of the mayor and the township leaders,
and execute all lawful orders
and execute all lawful orders
of the department,
of the department,
and in all respects
and in all respects
faithfully perform my duties
faithfully perform my duties
to the best of my
to
ability.
the best of my ability.
Congratulations. Oh, okay.
Good.
Oh, he's moving that. Look at me. No.
Mayor, perhaps the district attorney might want to come on.
Oh, okay. Jack?
No, mine might also. They bring Chief Viola and Chief Delia from Springfield.
And Jack, John Simmons.
And then, and yeah, we'll
John?
do that, and then we'll, Tim's gonna say a few words. And we can also a picture with council. Maybe we'll take a 5-minute break after, and then pictures. Yeah, can we do that? Yeah. Hi, gentlemen.
Hi, how are you?
Great. Nice to see you too.
You get everything?
All right, one more. 1, 2, 3. Thank you. So Tim's going to say a few words, and then we have a special guest speaker, and then maybe we'll take a 5-minute break for pictures. Council wants to get pictures of the. Yes.
They're brief. I'm honored, I'm humbled, and I'm really, really excited. First, I would like to thank everyone who was in attendance tonight. All of you have had a special role throughout my life, whether it be personally or professionally. So thank you. Second, I'd like to thank every member of council. It's been an honor and a privilege to work with all of you. And I look forward to working with all of you moving forward. Vince, feels like you and I have been dating for the past 21 months. We've had a lot of back and forth, but we've settled in with each other. So seriously, though, thanks for working with me, and thanks for making the transition successful. I mean that. Thank you. Mayor, what can I say? I want to thank you immensely. Like you said earlier, you could have shown me the door on day one, but you didn't. You met with me, you explained your plan, your view for the Upper Darby Township and our police department. You gave me the opportunity to prove myself, and you've supported me every step of the way. Thank you. It means the world to me. I'd like to thank my mom. Took a lot of hard work raising me, so thank you. I appreciate it. I wish Dad could be here with us today. I know he's looking down and smiling, so thanks, Mom. To my in-laws, thank you for all the support over the years. It means the world to me. Cole, Addison, and Taylor, I want to apologize and thank you. The three of you have been so understanding over the years when I wasn't able to attend a school event, a sporting event, or even a holiday. I'm so proud of the three of you, and I love you. Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank the most important person, Tara, my wife. You're the glue that holds us all together. So thank you. I appreciate you being there for all of us, for the family.
To the residents of Upper Darby Township, I want you to know I am here for all of you. I'm here to work with you, to partner with you, and to grow with you. We will continue to make this community a model for all to follow. We can accomplish great things when we work together and we partner and make positive change. My door is always open. It will always be open to discuss your ideas and any concerns you may have. Finally, I'd like to thank the command staff and all the men and women who serve as police officers in the Upper Darby Police Department. Thank you for the support over the past 21 months. Thank you for your professionalism and your unwavering commitment to serve this township. You are the backbone of our organization, and I could not do it without each and every one of you. I promise to lead by example and provide each and every one of you with the training and the tools necessary to do your job. My hope is that every one of you someday will have the opportunity that I have right now. I thank every one of you. Thank you again, council, and everyone.
Superintendent Dan McGarry asked me earlier today if he could say a few words. I talked to Councilwoman, Council President once about it. She said it's okay, so
And
thank
sorry
you
for not acknowledging me earlier during.
It's okay. I'm not that tall, so I'm easy to miss. So if I kind of turn this around this way, sure. So first, thank you, and thank you to the members of Township Council Administration. In some ways, I'm here listening to this meeting tonight. I know what it's like, so I know the pressure and the stress, and I want you to know your jobs are often underappreciated. But tonight, you're making a very serious decision. That's why you're in the role that you're in. I think you made an unbelievable choice. Tim Bernhardt, over the last several months, if not a couple of years, has been an unbelievable support to me in my efforts to earn my position as superintendent of schools in the Upper Darby School District. And he's been an unbelievable asset and resource for me in helping us keep our schools open, keep our schools safe. Just as recently as this afternoon, we had an unfortunate fire set in the bathroom, and Tim and his team and the fire department were there. It was an unbelievable support that was there. Tim has been unwavering. He's available 24/7, even on late Sunday nights. And to his family, I want to say thank you and I'm sorry. I hope that I don't add any more stress to an already stressful life and job. And to the officers that are here serving, I want you to know that the Upper Darby School District is so appreciative of what you do to serve this community every single day. Our administrators really, really thank what you do and are appreciative of all that you provide. And Tim, congratulations. I want you to know that I'm committed to help you, whatever you need from me. I'm a phone call away. Thank you.
Thank you much.
So do we need a motion to do a 5-minute break or?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So we're gonna take a 5-minute break for photos, so council would love to get a photo with Superintendent Bernhardt. Okay?
All right, did you bring your pen? I didn't bring a pen either.
Yes, seriously.
Do like 2 rows. I thought some of us would. Or turn sideways. I mean, we know how to do this, guys. No, he says. He says that they all turn. Yes.
Good job. Yep.
Good job.
You're gonna need some.
Try to take time.
Thank you. There you
Okay, good luck. Let me know what's happening. No, we have public hearing. Oh, jeez. I know. Let's face it, I have lots of cable.
You mean that back?
I got it. The stage man. I do this. Yeah.
Some of the stuff they said like not even. Just it's like, you know, whatever. If you.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
To the council room. Councilman Wagner to the council room. It's 1 minute in silence.
It's okay.
Okay. Okay. We are, okay, thank you everyone, we are back. Councilwoman Feralia had a family emergency, so she had to take her family emergency. And I expect to see Councilman Wagner very shortly. Okay, so next up, we have resolution 45-21. Can we get a reading on the resolution?
Thank you, President Lynch. This is a resolution of Darby Township, Delaware County, Pennsylvania, appointing Joseph Martin as Director of Public Works, repealing the consistent resolutions or parts thereof, containing a severance clause and providing for an effective date. Whereas Joseph Martin has served in the role as interim Director of Public Works. Whereas Section 403J of the Human Charter of Darby Township provides that the mayor appoints heads of departments, offices, and agencies with the approval of council. Now therefore be it is hereby resolved by the Upper Darby Township Council and is hereby adopted and resolved by the authority of the same as follows. Joseph Martin is hereby appointed as the Director of Public Works. There is a repealer, a severability, and this resolution is effective immediately. So is the reading.
Great, thank you. Can we get a motion to approve resolution 45-21?
So Blackwell.
I heard a lot. So Blackwell. Okay, are there any questions or concerns on this resolution? I personally like to speak. Joe Martin attends the majority of the community meetings that we have had throughout the township. And he is a listening ear. He always has suggestions on problem solving, and assist council members and residents alike on any issues that they have. And so thank you, Mayor Pepper, for this appointment. He's a great asset to our public works department.
Yeah, I'd just like to add real quickly that Joe's been working with me to do, maybe small improvements at a bunch of the parks. Like just today, the half court basketball rim and net was installed at Huey Avenue. He's done that also at Westview Park, at Parkview Park. He and his crew did an amazing job with the Sellers Library and playground grounds, planting 19 trees, removing a lot of dead trees, and also fencing that was twisted and was rusty, and it's been really great. And I'll see him tomorrow. I swear I'm in, but that's all I'd like to add.
Great, thank you. Anyone else like to speak on this?
Council President, I would, I know I made a lot of requests of Director Martin, and he's come through, and it's a big job, and I know we keep adding to it, but yeah, I think he's doing great work, and I know it's not as exciting perhaps as other positions, but it's extremely important, and I'm certainly glad he's up to the challenge.
Yes, definitely.
I agree. I agree. I agree. Whenever I need something done in whatever district, he's always come through. So I appreciate him being there and responding back to my email. So I think it's a great choice. Thank you.
Councilman Finn?
I'd just like to say I've had the privilege of working with him in the 8 years that I've been on council. And whether he's just as the head of the electrical department or whether he's head of public service, he was always an individual that gave you response, always worked tirelessly to get things corrected. I've seen him out there replacing the electrical light boxes on Sundays, things like that that we needed. He's a man who does a lot throughout the year. Thank you.
Great. Okay. Not seeing anyone else. Can we, all those in favor of passing resolution 45-21, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, I dare you to say your name? All right, not that I mean to threaten anyone, but I think this is a pretty solid, bipartisan support.
Maybe you should try that I dare you more often.
I don't know. I like it on the people we all 100% agree on. You know, I think that's really important. And it's awesome that we all agree that these two appointees today are a strong asset to our community. Okay, great. So, next up is me. All right. So I just wanted to thank everyone who comes out to all of the community events that the mayor has been having over the last 21 months throughout the entire township. They're smaller meetings that are really helpful and beneficial to those communities and for all the township council members who've taken part. Mike Galante has been at many of them. Joe Martin has been at many of them. Chief Sawyer, Superintendent Bernhardt, anyone who was needed based on the needs of the community for the particular meetings from the township. It's been very beneficial. We constantly get positive responses from residents after the fact, or they reach out to us. You gave me your card at this event. I have some concerns on A, B, and C. So it gave us an opportunity to reach residents in a ways that we weren't able to before, and be able to continue that conversation. So greatly appreciate the community meetings, Mayor Kemper. They are very helpful and beneficial to our community. So thank you to all who take part in them. And all the great events that have happened over this past weekend. We had the pop-up skate park. Unfortunately, I could not attend, but my understanding was it was a great success. And then on Sunday, there was a Bangladesh barbecue I was able to attend, and it was a fabulous event. And I know that there were probably hundreds of other events throughout the township. So council members, if you have any that are in your communities, in your districts, please make sure we know about it. If you have a flyer or something so that we can advertise it. We'd love to take part in those events. So that's pretty much all that I have. Next up, we have treasurer's report from our treasurer, David Heeman. Please take it away. And council members, the treasurer's report is in your folder, and it was attached to the agenda for anyone who's in the audience. If you grab the agenda, it's the second page of your agenda. I'm not sure where I put mine. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Thank you, Council President Wentz, and good evening, Council, Mayor. So our September report summarizes the financial condition of the township on August 31st, 2021, again with our operating budget that includes the 4 governmental funds. Our operating cash balance on August 1st was $32,656,455. At the end of the month, it was $28,762,530, or a $3.89 million decrease for the month. The budget had planned for us to decrease by $4.26 million. This is actually a positive figure. In addition, we're holding $20.8 million of American Rescue Plan funds. The ARP means American Rescue Plan. I stand chided for putting an acronym in there without explaining it, so that won't happen in the future.
August revenues against expenses also reconcile out in the cash basis to agree with the with that change in the cash balance. Through the remainder of the year, we project $12 million of revenue coming in with $36.9 million of expenses, all according to budget, resulting in a year-end projected operating fund cash balance of $3,895,000. We ended 2020 with $5.39 million. So this is going to be lower than last year, depending upon how the administration determines they're able to access those ARP funds. So as of August 31st, 2021 was 67% of the year in the books. We've collected 91% of our budgeted revenue, expended 67% of our budgeted expenses. I'd like to make one last note, personal note here, as I finish my report. I thank the former finance director, Gary Merrin, for his service to the township, his support for my efforts to provide transparency and disclosure to our residents, and I wish him the very best in his future endeavors. That concludes my report.
Great, thank you. Can we get a motion to approve the treasurer's report?
I can make a motion to approve the treasurer's report.
Okay, so I heard Gwen and Steve. Gwen, Steve. Are there any questions or concerns on the treasurer's report? Councilman Bernhardt?
Thank you, Madam President. Just a question on the American Rescue Plan funds. I gather this is roughly the first half of the distribution, a little bit more than that, I suppose. When do we expect to receive the second?
Yes, Councilman Burnett, we expect to receive the other tranche by next July, with another $20 million. Yeah.
So roughly a year apart?
Yes, sir.
It is, okay. And when, and I guess maybe this is more to the administration, when should we expect to see a plan for dispersing those funds, spending?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, sorry about that. We've started to have some internal meetings regarding a plan to put together those funds, and we've asked department heads to create preliminary budgets, draft budgets for their own needs in their department. And once we have that process completed, the plan is to have a public meeting and discuss with the public the plan, and then finalize the plan. And we expect that to happen, I would say, over the next 6 to 8 weeks.
Will that, Vince, will that be part of the budget process this year, or is it independent of that?
I would say it will run parallel with the budget process, but not necessarily interwoven with the budget process.
Is there a document that could be distributed to council that describes how those monies are able to be, or permitted to be spent? I know there's restrictions.
Yeah, so as a matter of fact, I believe in last month's treasurer's report that is included in the minutes, there were some of the guidelines for how the money can be spent. And it really is an interesting and evolving situation because, of course, the guidelines aren't entirely specific. And so we've spent a fair amount of time talking with the township's financial advisor and auditor and other township management officials from around the county. And frankly, we all have more questions than answers about what exactly the allowable expenses are. I think we can recirculate the treasurer's report from last month. We can certainly, and as we get more guidance, we will make it available.
Great, appreciate that. Do we have to file a plan on how we're going to spend that with the federal government?
We don't have to file a plan exactly, but we do have to periodically report on the spending. And that's sort of why everyone is nervous. They're worried about reporting what they've spent and then having it audited and having the federal government say, oh, that wasn't an eligible expense. So we do have this periodic reporting requirement with the funds.
Okay, and thank you. I appreciate getting a copy of that. I wasn't here at the last meeting, so.
Yeah, sure, no, of course.
The August meeting, I should say.
Yep.
Councilman Burns here.
Okay.
And then Councilman Burke.
this is a question I believe is directed to Vince, but Gary, or
David?
you might also. Basically, is the fund, is $20 million, is that in an interest-bearing account while we're deciding? And if so, how is that, is that continue to be part of the federal funds, or are we looking to move that to?
Yeah, no, it's a great question, and actually one of the very first questions that we asked even prior to having the money deposited in our account, trying to determine exactly what we were and were not permitted to do in terms of making investments prior to spending money. And honestly, it's still something that we're working on. It is in an interest-bearing account, and the question of what happens to that interest is an open one that we will report back to council.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Is there a time frame on spending this money? Is there a 2-year, 3-year, just like buying a new car right now? You could be 6 months to a year out of getting something you want, whether it's a fire truck, a trash truck, or leaf collectors, in the future, is there?
Yeah, so
as long as we have a plan and we stick to it, I guess, you're saying everything's revolving, so I didn't know whether, you had a 2 or 3 year plan that you're allowed to use this money, or you had to use it up at a certain time.
Right, well, that is one of the challenges, right? So we've already received the first disbursement. The second disbursement will come next July, so that would be July of 2022. And I believe the federal government has said they want the money spent by December 31st of 2023.
2025, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So we do have a number of years in which to spend the money. The interesting question, or sort of the sliding scale or target that's hard to hit, is if the primary purpose is to make up for lost revenue as a result of the pandemic. You would think that most municipalities would experience lost revenue in 21 or 22. But at the same time, the question is like, what happens if you go out and spend all of your money and experience lost revenue in 2025, right? We do not yet know what the pandemic will hold. So it's going to be an interesting challenge. I mean, everyone, myself included, would love to go out and spend $40 million tomorrow, right, to upgrade our township. But we do have to be cautious in how we manage the money to make sure that if for any reason we experience lost revenue, that money is there to close the gap.
Thank you. Laura?
Yep, Councilman Wagner.
Just to follow up on a couple of those questions, I get it that we're holding the funds right now, and we're also anticipating another distribution of further funds like that next July. But certainly, some of that money was intended by the federal government, by Congress, to meet some immediate needs, such as, just for example, the needs of the homeless, which we've been talking about several times here in this room and many other places like it throughout the township. Is there any reason why some of those funds can't be spent right away for what might be called legitimately immediate needs?
No, there's no reason that some of those funds can't be spent right away. Honestly, one of, I don't want to say holding up, but one of the reasons that more of the money hasn't already been dispersed is because the mayor's desire to make sure that there is a public process and the council's input is included. So you could imagine that some of our department heads have already submitted actual requests to spend. And I have some of those requests on my desk. And the reason that I have not yet signed them is because we haven't talked to the public and the council about those expenditures. So we are trying to move it along quickly. That's kind of a long answer, when fundamentally the answer is no, there really isn't a reason. The federal government's competing interests. They want to inject money into the economy quickly, but they also want to guard against lost revenue over the course of the next few fiscal years.
Understood. Has any of the money been spent yet?
I don't believe so. No, yeah.
Next. One more question.
I'm sure we've committed, or at least line items, some things that we need or we know we need, right?
Yes, I mean, that's why.
Especially with the overtime of the police or fire for COVID, you know, line items, some money not actually spent or put back into our, you know, line item, but at least that's been set aside, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and there are certain deferred maintenance, public infrastructure improvements with regard to water and air quality, right, that are huge COVID mitigation measures. So there are certainly things that are high on the mayor's priority list that meet the guidelines that we will, when we present, those things will be pretty obvious. And I think we certainly hope that the council and the public supports those things.
Madam President?
Yes.
Yeah.
Councilman Bernhardt?
Again, one more question, Vince. Do I correctly understand that in order for these monies to be spent, this council has to approve the plan?
No, I don't believe that.
That is not correct?
I do not believe that.
So the council has no authority over, no direct authority or no, it's not required as part of the program or any other part of the law that we, or any law, that we have jurisdiction over the expenditure, just like we do the township budget?
Right, I mean, that would probably be a better question for the solicitor than for myself, but my understanding is.
My understanding would be the administration's purview, but I will research that.
Would you please? Sure. Thank you.
Well, Councilman Bennett, we want council's input. And so
No, I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do, but I didn't know if it's a statutory requirement that it would seem to me that we should have that prerogative and that authority and that requirement to approve it before any monies are spent, just like we do the budget.
Or the CDBG action plan,
Yeah, exactly.
Council President, may I?
Yes, Councilman Silva.
Actually, I'd like to direct this question to the treasurer as it is his report, but has there been, where you, including the amount of revenue that's been projected, that's already been collected, what difference has been made by our adopting like e-collect to collect business tax revenue, or is that included in that final revenue number?
Yes, all sources of revenue that we've already collected that are line items in our reports. And that the business licenses and taxes are part of that. And then, yeah, and so the estimate for the rest of the year is in there, and trying to predict where we're going to be at the end of the year with cash basis.
So it was sort of my understanding that previously that they weren't collected fully. Was there or is that inaccurate? I mean, I thought our going to e-collect was to help.
I'm not aware of, I would throw that over to CAO, anything about e-collect.
Yeah, so e-collect and Portnoy deposit directly to the general fund, and so that they are included in the treasurer's top line revenue numbers. I think if you what's the best way to say this? When we report the budget to council, we will hopefully be able to break those out with precision so that you can see the revenue. I can certainly do that for Portnoy. It's a little more cumbersome for e-collect, but yeah, we can report specifically on those numbers during the budget.
So these receivable numbers are like these are the taxes that should be collected. There's not like it's not on any kind of margin or something. I mean, this is basically like what is supposed to be, what should be in receivables.
Well, every year, I think I understand the question, and I could be wrong. We budget for both anticipated current year collections and anticipated prior year collections. So let's say, and I'm just pulling these numbers, these aren't the actual numbers, but let's say we have, we budget to collect 85% of current year taxables, and we budget to collect 65% of outstanding prior year receivables, right? Again, those aren't the actual numbers, but my point is both current year and prior year are budgeted and accounted for when we make the projection.
Can I also respond to that? Because I actually have the report in front of me. I was looking at it. So yeah, we have a line item for real estate taxes prior, for example. And that's the stuff that they're collecting. And so year to date, as of the end of August, we had collected $1,279,650. At this time last year, we had collected $899,000. We had budgeted to collect $700,000, so we're $500,000 ahead of what they had budgeted to collect in prior taxes.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that was my question.
Yeah.
So when you're saying 91%, it's like 91% of the projected.
Of the projected budget, yes. Okay, yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing. And yes, those numbers are in here.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
So I actually have a question. Have we received any funds from any of the land developments that had indicated that they would pay us $1,000 in lieu of planting trees?
So off the top of my head, I can mostly remember Delaware County.
Yeah.
They haven't even really started.
Right.
I think I could be wrong, Michael Lanti would know better, he's got a lot of experience with it, but I think that they pay is it after the project's done?
It's a condition of their building permit, so when they make the application, they have to pay a fee.
Okay, okay. And then, so we have the community college, did we also have it within Drexel Line and the Wawa that was built on?
Well, Drexel Line, I don't think they cut down any trees, so there wouldn't be any.
Okay, so they were just adding trees. Okay, okay. And then, was there any for the Wawa on Baltimore Pike?
That was all.
That was all.
That was all.
Yeah, I don't believe so.
That was all black. We worked with the admin green, they had originally, but other than that, no, so there wasn't any like fee in lieu of, okay, for cut down trees.
Okay, well, we hadn't talked about it for a little while, and I was trying to figure out what it was. Right, where we were on that. Okay, great, thank you very much. Sure.
Hi, sorry, I just want to make a comment regarding the last series of events regarding the accounting methods. We have to understand that this is based on the accrued basis rather than the cash basis. So the money is being actually accounted when they occur as compared to when they're not. So if you want to elaborate a little bit on that, how our method is used.
We did a presentation earlier in the year on the difference between the accrual method and cash basis. So really where you want to be is on an accrual basis process. Unfortunately, our systems, our technology doesn't allow it. And so when I'm reporting, I'm still reporting on a cash basis. Okay. We want to get there. That's all.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor in passing the treasurer's report, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say your name. Ayes have it, and Councilwoman Faralia is excused. I'm here. Okay. All right, so next up, we have committee reports, Finance and Appropriations Committee, co-chairs Quinn Jr. and Silva, members Blackwell and Burke. Can we get a reading on resolution 40-21?
Thank you, President Wentz. This is a resolution of regarding Township, Delaware County, Pennsylvania, authorizing the application for the multimodal transportation grant to the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development for the development of the Cardington Newtown Trail. Whereas Upper Township has long recognized the importance of its unique and walkable neighborhoods and its 2018 comprehensive plan, the township identified the importance of increasing safe and walkable routes for pedestrians. Pursuant to the plan, the need to reconnect these neighborhoods to the region through multimodal transportation is paramount. Whereas Upper Township desires to apply for multimodal transportation funding through the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development for the development of Cardington Newtown Trail. Now therefore be it and hereby resolved by the Upper Township Council, is hereby adopted and resolved by the authority of the same as follows. One, Upper Darby Township is hereby authorized to apply for the multimodal transportation funding through the DCED in the amount of $543,820. Upper Darby Township is hereby authorized to utilize the funding if received in accordance with the multimodal transportation funding grant. So it's
Great, thank you. Great, can we get a motion to approve resolution 40-21?
So Blackwell.
You have to move and second it for any questions. So Blackwell has moved it. Can I get a second?
Yes, I'll second it.
Silva, okay. Councilman Good?
Yes, I just wanted to find out, is there any matching requirements associated with this? What, if so, what is the percentage?
Yeah, there is a significant matching requirement, and we are able to pair open space grants from the county to cover the matching requirement. So between, as you know, we passed the capital budget that allocates money for grant matching and the county open space grants together. I want to say it's 40% match. It's about $200,000, $240,000 in the match. So most of that will be covered by other grant sources.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions or concerns on this resolution?
Yes, I do. So is this money then that will go towards the building of the trails, or this is beyond design of the trails, is that correct?
It's for, yeah, the implementation building of the trail. Yes.
Okay. And that trail is from Marshall to Baltimore, is that correct?
It goes from Chapman Park down to Marshall, and then there's also a spur that runs alongside Ruskin Lane up to Long Lane.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, I'm taking notes. Okay, any other questions or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor of resolution 40-21, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say your name. Ayes have it, thank you. And Councilman Faralia is great. So next up, we have Planning, Zoning, and Building Code Committee, co-chairs Quinn Jr. and Phillips, members Barnett and Tunis Jr. We have resolution 41-21. Can we get a reading?
Sure. Resolution for plan revision for land development, resolution of Upper Darby Council, whereas Section 5 of Act January 24th, 1966, known as the Pennsylvania Sewage Facilities Act, as amended, and rules and regulations of Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection, adopted thereunder, Chapter 71, Chapter 25 of the Pennsylvania Code, requires that the municipality adopt an official sewage facilities plan, providing for sewage services adequate to prevent contamination of waters of the Commonwealth and/or environmental health hazards from sewage waste, and to revise said plan whenever it is necessary to determine whether a proposed method of sewage disposal for new land development conforms to a comprehensive program of pollution control and water quality management. And whereas Upper Darby School District is proposed to develop the development of a parcel identified as the Aronimink Elementary School building addition, and proposes such subdivision be served by sewage treatment facilities that Upper Darby Township finds the subdivision described. A attached sewage facilities planning model conforms to applicable sewage related to zoning and/or other sewage-related municipal ordinances and plans, and do the comprehensive plan of pollution control and water quality management. Now therefore be resolved by Upper Darby Council that they hereby adopt and submit the DEP for its approval as a revision to the official sewage plan of the municipality above referenced sewage facilities module, which is attached thereto. adopted today in council chambers. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Can we get a motion to approve? Sorry. Hold on. Yes, sorry, so you're the wrong page. Motion to approve resolution 41-21.
I'll make the motion. Second.
Tunis. And cross between Lynn and the. Nope. Gwen?
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions or concerns? Actually, before we did it, clarification, can you give us clarification of why we're going back to?
I actually asked the township engineer, Mr. Galante, to come up and perhaps it was came originally, his suggestion to stay on the agenda. Perhaps he can clarify better.
Good evening. Since this is actually a repass resolution, you've already passed it before. DEP requires that we pass it after all comments are received from county or DCJA. Those comments were received. It was recommended to go in front of the DEP for approval. And this was part of the comment letter that the school district received on their planning module. So essentially, you're just repassing an ordinance that you already passed.
Was there any change?
Say, come again?
Was there any change to the resolution?
No,
To what you had presented to us before when?
there's been no change. No, just a matter of dating the resolution.
Anyone else have any questions? Councilman Bennett?
Mr. Galante, I don't recall having passed this resolution.
We did.
Okay, I just don't recall.
Okay.
Why are we doing it again if we did it once?
So as part of the process, so when you go through for your sewer planning module, since we're in the DCJA sewer service area, so that's that, I would say eastern, or western end of the township, however you want to look at it. All the sewer goes to DCJA. They have a sewer capacity, requirement where anytime you submit to them, you have to do a sewer planning module. DEP went through DCJA, went to the DEP. DEP came back with this comment that they wanted an updated resolution. Since after the date of county sign off of the module.
When was the planning module filed?
It was filed about a month ago.
Okay, but that's normally something that's done at the very early stage of.
It was, and then there was a time where the project actually sat for a little bit. And given that you're in a DCJA service area, there is an equivalent I&I reduction that's required as part of the project. And when you mentioned the contributions from developers, the actual school district contributed to a lining project in the township to help reduce I&I as part of the project.
Right, effectively, Upper Darby has zero, or very little at least, sewage capacity. And we've seen recent developments. Let's take, for instance, the Drexelbrook Hotel required to do a lot of I&I work as well.
Yes.
At their expense, of course.
Yeah.
And I understand there's a tri-party agreement that has to be signed, the township being part of that agreement. Where does that stand?
That agreement has been executed, and essentially what the tri-party agreement says is that we're going to hold the developer to do the lining work that is necessary. In doing that, we collect a fee from them to actually complete that work. Same thing for any developments in that service area.
I understand that's $45,000, is that correct?
That was $45,000, you're correct.
And that will be paid by the school district for the I&I?
They've already paid it, yes.
No, I'm saying, well, okay, it has been paid. And how, can you give us just a quick rundown on the kind of I&I work that will be accomplished and where it will be accomplished?
It's actually, it's actually tied in. So there's the Drexel project where they are doing about 3,000 linear feet of lining. So we're actually expanding on top of that project with the Aronomy project to do additional lining work. So we can get that whole section behind Pilgrim Gardens line. There's an interceptor that runs behind, it's a 10-inch interceptor that runs behind the houses back there and ties in where Drexel line is. So all that, pretty much majority of that pipe, if not all of it, is going to be lined. It's going to consist of a CIPP liner and rehabilitation of various manholes.
And is that $45,000 a fixed cost? I mean, is it likely to exceed that?
Based on our current estimates, I think it'll be more than adequate to complete the lining work that's necessary for the agronomy.
Now, we do have to get, or I should say that the assignment of EDUs has to be approved by DEP.
That is
At some
correct.
point, they're the final authority on this. Do you have any idea where that stands?
For the agronomy project?
Yes.
Right now, we did, the school district submitted to the DEP. They received comments. It is being deemed a facility of public need. I think that was recommended by DCJA. Once this resolution is passed and all comments are submitted back to DEP, we would expect an approval, in the next upcoming weeks. But it's going to be all subject to DEP.
Any reason to believe that we can't comply with their requirements and the comments that they, when I say we and the school district in terms of I&I and other provisions? Thank you. We'll get the point.
Yes.
The tri-party agreement, Mr. Solicitor, are you aware of that agreement by chance?
Am I aware of that agreement?
Yes, and the fact that the township has to be a party to it?
Yes, I am.
All right, I mean, we do not have to approve that at the council level?
I thought we did approve a tri-party agreement with the council.
We did?
Approved previously, almost.
Yes, we did, okay,
Yeah.
all right. I appreciate knowing that, I just don't remember that either. Well, that's fine. Another note, are you familiar with the NPDES permit requirements for that project?
Yes.
Where do we stand with that?
For agronomy, the NPDES permit is approved. They are permitted to do site work at this time, which they have, they're in the process of applying for a grading permit with L&I. Once approved, they're going to start the site work portion of the project. And then once the DEP planning module is approved, they'll apply for their building permits and start the building construction.
Okay, so at this point, we're comfortable that the project will meet the DEP requirements with regard to the assignment of EDU and the NPDES for the stormwater management and erosion control plan?
Yes.
Okay, and you fully expect approval?
Yeah, NPDES permit is approved. Yes.
Yeah. All right, good. And that was recent, is that correct?
That was actually, I don't know the exact date, but I would say it was probably about 3 or 4 months ago.
3 or 4 months ago, thank you. All right, appreciate the comments, thank you.
Thank you.
I've got a question.
Sure.
Yes, Councilman Reiner.
Thank you. Mr. Guanti, you said something that just caught my attention, and I don't know quite what you meant by it. You said that the agronomy project sat for a little bit. What did you mean by that?
Well, I want to say it's that there was some litigation where the project was kind of on hold, I should have said. Better word would have been on hold. And then once that litigation was over, they started their sewer work and began the process of getting their final approvals.
That litigation is resolved now, right?
Yes.
It is.
Frankly, the reason I ask these questions, and I suspect the reason Mr. Bernhardt asked some of his questions too, is we get questions from people who live in the community about why is this just sitting there? What we're looking at is a chain link fence surrounding an area that was very beautiful and widely used by the entire community, now consisting of largely tree stumps and construction vehicles that aren't doing anything. And I'd like to have someone give us a simple explanation that can be imparted to the people who live around that community as to what's happening, what is holding things up or has been anyway, and much more importantly, when will this be done?
I think the school district would better answer when they're planning on completing the project. And I think they could answer when they plan on starting up once their grading permit's approved. I know representatives from the school district are here who can talk about their time frame. But as far as what was holding it up, it was the sewer planning module.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Sorry, can I ask a question before you step?
Sure.
You said the lining that was going to be, was there like CIIP or something?
Yeah, it's cast in place polyurethane liner.
Oh,
So
okay.
what they do is, I could talk to you about it, but basically they inject the liner inside the pipe, inflate it, cure it, and it becomes like a brand new pipe inside the existing pipe. So it saves the cost of actually digging up the pipe and putting a new pipe in.
Okay.
And it's a
So
good
that's why
way
that
to.
cost number is what it is, because you're not
Yes.
talking about tearing up, opening the earth, basically. You're able to kind of inject a new liner, almost like a bed liner or something.
Yeah, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Good
Thank you,
evening.
Michael. Andre.
Yep, thanks. Good evening. My name's Andrew Stoll. I'm the attorney for the Upper Darby School District. The project is set because there was litigation which has been resolved. But if there are other questions, the superintendent, Dr. Daniel McGarry, be happy to answer them.
Great, thank you.
I can tell you my simple question is, what's the timeline and what are we looking at now? Dr. McGarry or counsel or whoever?
Yeah, the appeal set us back a considerable amount of time. We spent over a year in litigation with the Aronimink neighbors, and had we been able to execute the project when this township approved it and we received all their approvals, we probably wouldn't be in the situation that we're in right now. We stumbled upon this tri-party agreement that Mr. Bonnet referenced. The district has done their part. I appreciate the support of the township, Mike Galante, and the administration helping us work our way, and obviously the solicitor for the township helping us navigate this project. As we all know, it certainly hasn't been politically easy to pull off this project, and I'm happy that we are where we are right now. We believe that in my conversations with the DCJA and the DEP, calling them as a superintendent of schools, I'm happy to report that I have a better understanding of EDUs and capacity limitations in the county. Although I never wanted that obligation, I have it now. I think that we will be moving forward very soon. Like Galante's been great with our engineers work, moving on our site work. We hoped we'd be in a better position. I've apologized to the neighbors and to the public around Aronimink. We were given advice from the Conservation District in a construction meeting that we could begin, put the fence up, cut the trees down, and you'll have approval within 10 days in a meeting. And obviously, clearly, whatever fight there is going on with the DCJA and the DEP, I've come to understand in my learning about this that there was a connection management plan supported early in the 2000s. And it seems to be that there's been some hang up getting the actual connection management plan from the DEP and the DCJA. For some reason, our project has been, I'm sure a lot of the township's projects are somewhat held in limbo because of that somewhat of a conversation between the DEP and the DCJA. And so we've had to push pretty hard here locally with the township and the administration on our end to get a public need. It's important to note that when the DCJA sent their letter to the DEP, the letter specifically stated that it's a public need. And my understanding of this project, and the solicitor for the township could agree or disagree, that a public need, a hospital or a school, really a lot of these approvals pretty much go much more quickly when it's a public need. And for some reason, we had to go back and get another letter that from the DCJA to overstate that it's a public need. We'll be getting site work hopefully within the next week. Obviously, more of an inconvenience that unfortunately you'll hear about and I'll be hear about, but we plan on meeting with neighbors and communicating as much as we can. When it's all said and done, this project I think is going to be a wonderful asset to that community and cut down on the current issues that we're facing around there right now with congestion and traffic.
I'm not challenging the efficacy of the project at all. If a neighbor walked up to me right now and said, when do you think this is actually going to be completed and done? What would be a reasonable answer?
Yeah, right now we believe that we're still on our timeline to complete the project. We started moving as quickly as we could on this. The delay right now is just materials. That appeal crushed us, holding us as long as we are. It increased the cost of the project by $2 million, that appeal. And then now we're deeper into COVID. I think anybody who's here if you're trying to put a vanity into your bathroom or get a bathroom job right now, there's a considerable delay on materials. So the community keeps on asking us, what is the cost of the community? We're not paying any fees for the construction vehicles, the backhoe, or anything that's on that property because we have not started the project or issued those permits yet. But the delay in the materials could be a setback in the timeline.
I understand exactly what you just said. I will tell you that I'm putting a kitchen in our house right now. That very problem certainly exists. So on a much more massive scale, I get it that that's affecting the Aronimink project. But is there a fair, reasonable answer that we could give to a neighbor who says, when do you really think this will be
Yeah, we believe that we're still on pace in the next 2 years to open that, complete that renovation and have that work completed.
So 2 years would be at least a reasonable thing to say in response to that.
And we'll be meeting with neighbors once that project gets up and running and officially moving earth and dirt and talking to the neighbors and meeting with them about how we can make sure that there's as little impact. Construction projects obviously will be an impact in the community. We're going to do the best that we can to meet with them and talk to them about it. I've had some wonderful phone calls lately. That's sarcasm about the condition of the location, and rightfully so. The neighbors in that community have a right to not have trees that are half cut down in the area, and we're moving forward with the project as quickly as we can.
I get it. I've got some of the same phone calls. I really have. So, all right. Well, I appreciate your interest.
Madam, may I ask another question? Dr. McGarry, I appreciate your statement that you're going to reach out to the community again with information. Can you, and like Councilman Wagner said, he and I are the closest in terms of location to the Ronald Elementary School project, where we live, the communities we represent. People from both of our districts attend that school.
Mr. Park is too, right?
Pardon?
Councilman Bernhardt.
I apologize, that's correct.
Along with all the applicants, members represent.
The issue is that, and I appreciate what you said about you're willing to reach out to the community with me. Is that something, because we get all kinds of questions. Is that something that can be scheduled in the next month, 2 months to,
Yeah, sure.
Particularly next month, if at all possible, to bring the community up to speed? It would help us a great deal. It would help the community.
We have provided community letters to the surrounding neighbors. Some refuse to take it for what it's worth. I think there's a tremendous amount of integrity and honesty on the school district's part and the township's part to have those conversations with this board, and I will certainly make that commitment, and we'll hold a meeting, have a conversation, and talk about the next steps and what we can anticipate happening.
What would be reasonable to think when we could do that?
I would say sometime in October, we'll be able to put it.
That'd be great. That would be much appreciated. I think the community would appreciate that.
No problem.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else have any
No,
questions
that's not-
for Dr. McGarry?
Just one thing,
Councilman
Dr. I know the neighbors that surround the streets, maybe 2 or 3 deep, the houses, not so much 2 blocks.
My parents live over there.
Yeah, I don't get the letters, but my neighbors that, do live close in one of the corners, they do get the letters. Just a little bit further down the streets, maybe, across the street, where Tom is and all that. So, or a meeting would be great. I know you give it to the people that are on the corners and all that.
No, sure. I mean, I work for them, so I have no problem having a meeting and having a conversation.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here and answering our questions. We greatly appreciate that.
Thank you.
Great. Okay, any other questions or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor of passing resolution 41-21, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say your names. Pariah is excused. Thank you all. Great. Thank you to our hearing. Greatly appreciate you. So next up, we have a public hearing for ordinance number 3101. Can we get a reading or summary of the ordinance?
This is an ordinance of Darby Township establishing a planning commission under the provisions of the Pennsylvania Municipality Planning Code. This provides that that Darby Township Council of Delaware County wants to rise its attention and desire to organize a planning commission under Article 3 of the Municipality's Planning Code. The planning commission shall consist of 5 people with 2 alternates, all of whom shall be residents of Darby Township. Duties of the planning commission provide prepare a comprehensive plan and maintain and keep records on files of actions, and then these files and records shall be with the Department of License and Inspection. There is a planning commission. at the request of the mayor. There's all the things that they are able to do. And then the planning commission may accept and utilize funds made available by the county, the Commonwealth, and federal government, and all resolutions and ordinance parts thereof are hereby repealed. This has been sent to the Delaware County Planning Department, and that department recommended adoption with, and they did, all comments have been shared in the
Great, thank you. So at this point in time, I'd like to open the public hearing for ordinance 3101. Please come forward to the podium and state your name and your address. There is no time limit because it is a public hearing, not an ordinance. So please, whoever wants to step up first, go for it.
Hi, my name is Kyle McIntyre, 1040 Drexel Ave. So I just want to start off by providing a challenge that I wish that the future planning commission will tackle. I think this is a great development for the township overall, something that this township has desperately needed for a long time, especially as the sixth largest municipality in the sixth largest state in the third largest country in the world. I think it's very important that we have a planning commission. So I'm just going to start off by just reading. So Upper Darby Township's zoning code currently in its current state fails to provide an adequate foundation for economic development, population growth, and preservation of neighborhood character. Form-based code is an innovation in urban land development that empowers the township to move beyond primarily focused on controlling permitted uses and instead emphasizes site design, building form and character, streetscape design, and promotion of desired neighborhood vision. Upper Darby zoning code has been sporadically updated since the 2000s, all the way going back to the very first zoning code back in 1924. A bunch of Band-Aid solutions that have fallen short in addressing the developmental restrictions currently promoting neighborhood crime, such as the overlay districts, which have not really addressed the issues at hand with our fundamental zoning codes. Current zoning codes prevent future development by promoting overcapacity, encouraging property maintenance violations, and failing to encourage the neighborhood vision overall. The current zoning code, by encouraging this inefficient usage of properties, for example, there was a study there was a brief study of 20 properties in the downtown area above Chestnut Street, 10 low-density detached houses that are currently being used for commercial space, compared to 10 Garrett Road commercial properties, which are right flush against the streets, showed that the low-density homes that are being used for commercial space resulted in 28.7% more property maintenance complaints. As a property, homes are meant to be homes, commercial spaces are meant to be commercial spaces. There's a reason why humanity over time and human civilization has developed in such a way. During the 1940s, 1950s, humanity decided to play God a little bit when it came to urban planning, hence why we have so many highways. And they cut through minority communities. I'm not going to get into that. But, that's a whole discussion for another day. But just to provide some support for where we are today. The rapid expansion of rental properties is another issue that is currently challenging development in this township overall. And is a result of the limited amount of apartments and multifamily dwellings, especially for a community as dense and urbanized as Upper Darby is. I know we call ourselves a township, but at this point we're practically a city. As a result of family homes or the lack of apartments and multifamily dwellings, family homes are being converted into rental properties at an alarming rate. A lot of these rental properties are usually owned by corporations. They are out of state, they are out of county, they are out of township. That is leading to a large dramatic rise in property maintenance complaints, deteriorating conditions for renters, deteriorating conditions for homeowners, and just overall just township residents alike. And a lot of this has to do with the fact that a lot of our code is designed based on the original layout of our community back in 1924. I can say without a doubt, back in 1924, diversity and inclusion was not on the minds of urban planners, especially after the 1917 Supreme Court case that banned zoning based on race. As a result of that, a lot of urban planners turned towards more economic restrictions to keep out people of color and lower income individuals. The problem is, a lot of our township has not changed since then. We are seeing a lot of buildings that are still up to that same level. Now, we're not talking about like the historic buildings such as the McClatchy building, or we're talking about like downtown 69th Street. We're talking more about like the single family detached homes within 5 minutes of 69th Street, the terminal. And then if you want to get to the very first multifamily dwelling, you're walking 15 minutes away. It was designed like that for a reason. We can't be that naive anymore, especially after 2020, after, hopefully the rose-colored glasses have been removed and we are truly seeing our community as it was designed. The township currently has actually some of the best assets in the metropolitan area. We are the only township that actually has a terminus outside of Philadelphia County for the metro system. The other terminus is either if you're in South Philly, if you're in Frankfurt, or if you're in North Philly. The only other one that actually leaves Philadelphia County is 69th Street. That is such an important resource. And especially when we're talking about University City, we're talking about Drexel University, we're talking about the University of Pennsylvania, who are directly on the Market-Frankfurt line, which happens to end at 69th Street. However, when you're looking at population density maps, the usage, the underutilization of land is astronomical. I'm not going to lie, from a lot of my studies in my master's program currently, I've not seen levels so bad. And it should be alarming. It should be a 5-alarm fire for the current administration and for just future administrations going forward. It doesn't really matter. This is something that needs to be addressed, especially when we're talking about what is Upper Darby going to look like come 2030. Upper Darby has had a long history of racial discrimination and redlining. A lot of this has actually been recently uncovered. Up until about the 1990s, with demand for upward growth shown in Upper Darby, especially with the current census showing the largest percentage population increase since 1970. So yes, Upper Darby grew in the 2020 census. The largest population increase since 1970. Development being absent over the last 10 years is a large result of the current zoning code. Now, it's not to say like, okay, open the reins and let the floodgates come in and, just, it's a free-for-all. No, that's why I want the future zoning code to really take form-based code seriously. It is a great opportunity for the township to innovate, promote preservation, smart growth, development, affordability, and green space all together in one. It empowers the township. A lot of cities have started to adopt this. We're talking about a lot of cities on the West Coast. We're talking about Buffalo, New York. We're talking about even some areas in Montgomery County that have started to implement this. In summary, form-based code, and this is a really big generalization of it, instead of basing a building based on use, like, oh, is this a nightclub? Oh, is this a residential apartment? You're basing it off of the actual building itself. This is a 4-story apartment building. This is a commercial building on the first floor with a couple of residential apartments above. You're basing it off of the building. And because you're basing it off of the building, you can more design communities based on the realities of urban planning back if we're talking like in the 1940s, we're talking about the 1930s, before we started to get into this, I'll be honest, a little bit of a problematic zoning code. Let's be real, there's a reason why it came about the way it is. That doesn't mean that we can't fix it. It is fixable. So FBC zones, along with ensuring appropriate uses, promote the economics of respective buildings. So for example, rental properties become apartments. We build apartments and rental units. We build 5/1 developments. We maximize the usage of what very limited land we have in this township. Traditional zoning lacks a lot of this. So just to give you perspective, some of the things that FBCs will control for is architectural styles. So for example, if you're preserving the Art Deco architecture in downtown Upper Darby, FBC zones control for that in future developments. Streetscaping, historic preservation, height minimums and maximums, which is also important because we usually talk about only height maximums. Height minimums are also important because if you're building a one-story building in an area that is zoned for like a C3, that is problematic because you are limiting the amount of apartments and residential land for people in that community, and you are putting that community at risk for gentrification. And I will be very clear, gentrification is coming very quickly to Upper Darby Township. It is moving up the Market Frankfurt line from University City, and it will one day reach here. If we are not prepared to make sure that our zoning code is robust and reactive to this, a lot of the community that we celebrate that is diverse and comes from so many different countries will be displaced. And that is the truth. So we need to think proactively and in the future to make sure that we are protecting that community and that their investment in this township wasn't a waste. My conclusion is, please, dear God, look up form-based development, just Google it. It is a little bit complex and sometimes convoluted, but trust me when I say this, I would not spend all of this time talking to you about it if it really wasn't worthwhile for this township. This is the future, and it will provide a future that is based on growth, development, inclusivity, green infrastructure, stormwater management, and not just, well, the past inclinations of just, I'll be honest, a couple of bigots, I'll be honest. So I'm so sorry for taking so much time, and it was a lot. Thank you so much, and please just look into it, form-based code, and I hope that the future planning commission looks into it. Thank you.
Thank you. I just have a question for you, Mr. McIntyre. So, I will look it up, form-based development. So how does, and excuse my ignorance, how does that relate to the planning commission?
Yes. So part of the planning commission's job is going to be to redesign or to design in the future the comprehensive plan. And part of the comprehensive plan is land use development. That is going to be very important when we're talking about the way we currently design our land use, which is residential here, commercial here, industrial here, parks here, civic here. That can be problematic when you're talking about a city, which, let's be honest, downtown Upper Darby really is. I mean, sure, we get out towards Drexel Park, it gets a little bit more, suburban, but we're talking downtown Upper Darby. We don't really zone our land use or even our comprehensive plan for mixed use, and a mixed use would be like, so we have commercial on the first floor, residential above, you have people living, working, and playing in the same community in the same space. Our current comprehensive plan does not include that. So the planning commission, when they're going out and they're redesigning our comprehensive plan going forwards, should take that into consideration, because if they're not, then we'll just be repeating the mistakes of the past.
Gotcha. Thank
Of course, yeah.
Go ahead, Councilor.
Kyle, I saw, it looked like you were reading this off your laptop.
Yes.
Can you give us an electronic copy of that?
Of course. I actually, surprise. Kyle does actually have a couple of reports written up, so I would be more than welcome to share that with the council. Trust me, I spent way too much time on this. I really do the one thing I want most of all is I really want our township to be set up for the future that it deserves at the end of the day. And that's really what this comes down to. So yes, of course, I have a couple of reports on inclusionary zoning, form-based code, and maybe one day from public, it's a little, way too early to talk about, but some stuff about the census, but it's way too early for that, so.
Okay, great, thank you so much.
Mhm.
Does anyone have any questions for Mr.
Yeah, I do. Like I don't know if it's a secret or not. I feel like this is needed, our planning commission. That, let me just say it. And it's, and a lot of the things you say are true. But I think that looking back and trying to determine exactly why all the things that happened, there is no way people in 1924 could have imagined the world that we have right now. And who knows what's going to be like that 20, 30, 20, 40, whatever. We might all ride hoverboards and who knows? So, but at the same time, yes, you're right. I mean, like planning, it seems like things were reacted to and not planned out.
Yes.
And I think this planning commission flips that. And but I don't want us to get the idea that, oh my God, we have a planning commission, the future, like nothing can go wrong, because I'm frightened. Does that seem fair?
Oh, 100%. I mean, humanity is like, I don't know if I can't speak for all of humanity, but I mean, literally part of humanity is literally making mistakes. So I 100% agree with you that there will be mistakes made in the future, but the planning commission, the whole point of it is that there will be a plan.
From those mistakes.
Exactly. There will be a plan. Like there will be a way to go forward. You'll be able to correct course. You'll be able to move forward. I think that that's honestly like a couple of decades late, but it's okay. It's coming and we're happy to see it. But that doesn't mean that the future isn't bright for Upper Darby, but it does matter a lot about where we go from here, because I'll be honest, we got really lucky in the last census. I'll be completely honest. One day that will come out, but we did get very lucky.
But I agree too that we should look at the way the area is utilized in kind of determining not, we're not going to be able to like kind of keyhole the township into a plan as much as we should look at the way the township is and the space is utilized in consideration of our future plans and endeavors, because I think that's the best way to,
100%.
Well, thank you.
Of course.
Thank you.
Last thing I'll say is Jane Jacobs' Life and Death of the Great American City. If you have never read it, I seriously consider it. I don't think any elected official should ever live and not have read that book. Seriously. I know it's not like I'm coming from like a college course or something, but seriously, Jane Jacobs' Life and Death of the Great American City. I swear to God, you never have known how important a sidewalk is to preventing crime. It's crazy, but trust me, read it. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Who's next?
Hi, Peggy Wilson, 824 Drexel Avenue. So Kyle gave you a broad overview of what they can do for you in the future. I'm going to deal with what they can do for us now. And I'm speaking as a private citizen, but I'm speaking from the perspective I've gained from serving on the zoning hearing board. As Kyle pointed out, the township is growing and changing, and our planning documents need to too. One very sticky situation that we faced was the group home request and how our current zoning code does not meet federal case law. And our choice was go with the zoning code and open this township up to a federal lawsuit, which cost a lot of money, or forget the zoning code and do what is legally correct. And frankly, we should never have been in that position. We need a planning commission who can look at these documents in light of what's happening in the township and in case law and modify them when necessary, which isn't really happening right now. The other thing is, I printed out the section from the municipal planning code that lists the powers and duties of the planning agency. And one of them is to promote public interest in and understanding of the comprehensive plan and planning. And I can tell you that's not happening now. I would say 90% of what comes before us in the zoning hearing board is people who don't even know zoning exists. They buy a house and they think they're going to turn it into apartments. They put up a fence wherever they want to, how high they want to. And all of these things are controlled by the zoning code, but they don't know they exist. So then we're in the position of, it's not too bad if you haven't done it yet, but if you've put that fence up, now we have to say, take it down. And it doesn't create a lot of goodwill toward the township. So I think it's critical that we have a planning commission who can work with the residents and the public in general to make them understand that there is a zoning code and what it is, that you just can't do whatever you want to with your property. The other thing is that it would be really great for us to have a body to consult with who understands the perspective behind the elements of the comprehensive plan and the zoning code. If we have the zoning officer who's really excellent technically and can tell us what can and can't happen, but he really can't tell us why. And there are some times when, you're in a position where if you could just understand why you can't have a fence there, or, that's the big one, fences these days. If we could help us make better decisions, if we had somebody that we could consult with who understood the big picture. So in conclusion, I'm very much in favor of establishing a township planning commission, and I hope you all vote positive for it. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And thank you for your service on the zoning hearing board. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on this ordinance? Anyone else? Anyone else? Bueller? Oh, all right, Bueller's not here. Okay, so seeing none, at this point in time, declare the public hearing closed. Can we get a motion to approve ordinance number 3101? Can I get a motion?
Maxwell, so moved.
Second.
And Lynn? Are there any questions or concerns on this ordinance?
No question, but I do have, I'm sorry. I wanted to, take Kyle up on, looking up with form. It's a land development regulation that fosters predictable built results and a high quality public realm by using physical forms, rather than separation of uses, and it's an organizing principle for the code. So I don't know if anybody knows that, but I didn't know. So.
Thank you.
Or other questions?
Okay, Councilman Wagner?
Thank you. If we decide to pass this ordinance, who's going to sit on this commission? I'm curious about that. If the mayor has any thoughts about it, have you already chosen people? What qualifications would they have in your mind, or should they have in your mind, and so on?
Well, councils, we've had a planning committee for over a year. They've been meeting pretty much monthly. Everybody on council, I think, voted on them being on the committee. I will circulate the resumes again. If this passes, there are people from from our community. They come from various backgrounds. There's a lawyer, an accountant. The chair of the committee right now used to sit on the planning commission for a county like outside of Harrisburg. But
so
you're somewhat familiar with the people because they've been before council for a vote. But what did you,
No, that's, but you know, what you're gonna appoint the same people who are already sitting on the current, committee.
I think, I'll make it more official.
Great, anyone else? Okay. I'd just like to say thank you very much for creating this planning commission. I know that we've had numerous questions about why are there, certain businesses repeatedly on the same block or on the corners and so forth, that with a planning commission, it would help to reduce that. And hopefully help to have more diverse businesses in our community, as well as, take care of the different options that are possible, hopefully giving us more green spaces along the way. So I think having the planning commission will also help with the comprehensive plan that, so, yes, so I greatly support this. So thank you, Mayor, for working hard to make this possible. So at this point in time, can we get a roll call vote on ordinance number 3101? Yep. Oh. Oh. Okay. Here, you can follow mine forward.
I'm sorry, Counselor Tunis,
Yes.
Counselor Billington, yes, Counselor Silver,
Yes.
Counselor Blackburn. Yes. Counselor Gwen,
Yes.
Counselor Bird,
Yes.
Counselor Sadiq,
Yes.
Oralia is excused, Counselor Barnett,
No.
Counselor Wagner,
No.
and Council President Wynn.
Yes.
8 yes and 2 no, no excused.
Great. Ordinance passes. Okay, great. Next up, we have a public hearing and petition for ordinance number 3104. Can we get a reading?
Sure, thank you very much. This was discussed at our committee meeting, so council should be generally familiar with this. I see council for the school district here as well. We have copies of T1 and advertisement of this hearing, T2 a copy of the posting of this property. The posting really only applies to the school district because the only property is really affected. It would have the ability to petition. Because of the fact that our home rule charter administrative code is silent to this, we fall back to the first class township code as the procedure for vacating or giving up a street. So what I'm going to do is I am going to read the copies of the ordinance after the therefore portion, which are the features which already discussed, that apply. So street is vacated. Fall Avenue is the point terminating at Sherbrooke Boulevard, Beverly Hills Middle School, with an address of 1400 Garrett Road, Upper Darby. Tax map parcel number 1604, 0197801 is further identified as the vacation plan exhibited hereto in Exhibit A is hereby vacated upon execution of compliance with the terms of the agreement to vacate Fall Avenue between Upper Darby Township and Upper Darby School District. You'll have a resolution a little later laying out specifics of that. Approved by council to temporarily see with the enactment of this ordinance attached as Exhibit B. Therefore, there's a repeal clause, there's a severability clause, there's an effective date, and that concludes my reading of the ordinance. Again, this was summarized at our committee meeting. I see a representative from the school district council, if you want to add.
Sure, and then, sorry, just clarification on the petition part of the equation.
What do you mean?
The
The school district's petition. For the first class.
They're
township road.
petitioning us.
Yes.
Okay, great. I just wanted to understand where the petition was coming from. Please take it away, young man.
Good evening, Andrew Stoll on behalf of the school district. I'm the solicitor for the school district. The district did petition the township to vacate the road, hence the petition, hence the ordinance that has now come before you. Just to give you a little brief background, and this was discussed at the last meeting, most notably the one that was made virtual due to the storm. There are facilities upgrades going on at many of the school districts' facilities and many school districts schools. This one's taking place at Beverly Hills Middle School. They're going through land development, we'll be going through zoning. This is just a tiny piece to a larger puzzle. There's a small road there on the Beverly Hills property. Importantly, there's no abutting landowners to that road. It's entirely on the district property. We've petitioned to vacate it so we can make some improvements to facilities. It's an incredibly exciting time. So this is just one piece to that larger puzzle. Your solicitor did read the ordinance that we're asking to adopt to vacate the road. We are also entering, and I hate to jump ahead on your agenda.
No, I think it's fine to summarize that right now.
Yeah, we're also agreeing to enter into an agreement with the township saying, among other things, there's no abutting property owners. If there are, we'll indemnify you, we'll pay for the cost of advertising, things of that nature. So this is an exciting piece to a puzzle that is the district upgrading facilities, but it is a legal procedure we have to go through with it. With me here tonight, as you know, is Dr. McGarry, Marvin Lee, who's the controller, and the district civil engineer who's leading the charge, so to speak, on the Beverly Hills project. So if you have any questions, happy to answer them. Other than that, that's in a nutshell what we're looking for tonight.
Great, thank you so much. Okay, well, before we get into council's questions, I'd like to have the official public hearing first. And then, so if you want to come sit next to Treasurer Heyman, please feel free to do so. Okay, so at this point in time, I'd like to open up the public hearing for the petition and the ordinance of 3104 for vacating Equal Avenue. So the public hearing is open. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this ordinance? Anyone? Anyone?
Council, if I can just do one thing, just to make sure that we're covering all of our bases here.
Sure,
I can have, like I said, Marvin Lee and Dr. McGarry are here. I can have them affirm, and as well as a civil engineer, I can have them affirm the accuracy of the statements I made prior to opening up the hearing, if that would, and we can incorporate those statements just to make sure that the record's clear, if that's okay.
I don't think that's necessary. I think council is prepared to move on. Thank you.
Terrific, thanks.
Thank you. Is there anyone else from the audience that would like to speak on this ordinance? Okay, seeing none, I will officially close the ordinance and the public hearing for ordinance number 3104. Is there any members from council that have any questions or concerns for the school district in reference to this? Councilman Burnett?
I think this makes a great deal of sense to do this. It is a road that serves only the Beverly Hills Middle School. And frankly, it takes it away from a responsibility to the township, which also reduces the cost to the taxpayer to maintain it. And if it serves the purpose of the educational process in Upper Darby and facilitates the whatever purpose they plan to put it to, as far as the Beverly Hills Middle School, I think it's a wise endeavor.
Thank you. Any other council members? Councilman Gwynn, because I know this has been a concern of yours.
Yes.
Relates to a concern of yours for years.
It's been my concern because I see the kids trying to cross Garrett Road and the problems that they have. Many times, most of the time, there is a crossing guard there, but there are other occasions that crossing guards do not. People that are using the fields, maybe the students, maybe others that are engaged in sports activity. But the bottom line is there is no school flashing like there on Garrett Road. No requirements to reduce the speed down to 15 miles an hour. And I have seen individuals get hit when they're 47 years that I lived in this area. So it's important to me to remove an obstacle which Ecoli Road has represented and allow the school district to pursue getting the related signs to allow students to cross in a more safe condition. Thank you.
Anyone else from council? All right, seeing none. Can we get, did we do the motion, the second motion?
I don't believe there was a
Second?
motion.
I think sorry, I got distracted. So can we get the official motion to pass, ordinance number 31-04?
I'd like to make a motion.
So that was Gwen and, Smith. Okay, and we already had the discussion because I was going backwards. No. So now it's time for the roll call. There you go.
Councilor Simmons,
Yes.
Councilor Phillips, yes, Councilor Silver,
Yes.
Councilor Blackwell,
Yes.
Councilor Glenn,
Yes.
Councilor Burke,
Yes.
Councilor Sadiq,
Yes.
Councilor Farai is excused, Councilor Barnett,
Yes.
Councilor Wagner,
Yes.
and Councilor President.
Yes. So the ordinance passes. So thank you very much to all members of the school district that are here. Thank you for your sharing your knowledge and allowing us to pick your brain. We greatly appreciate you.
Madam President, you want me to go with the associated resolution while we prepare, just in case there are any
Yes,
questions?
that's right. So, so before you do that. Oh, yeah, it goes right into it.
It goes right in.
Right into it.
They're
Go
actually
for the
referenced to each
resolution.
other.
Yeah.
So I'm going to talk about the agreement. The recital, so I'm there for a portion of the resolution. The foregoing recital is approved, correct, and made part thereof. The parties hereby agree to the vacation of Equal Avenue as set forth in this plan as referenced in the ordinance. The parties agree to the vacation pursuant to the vacation plan without formality of petition review, report of review. That means condemnation, but without the formal assessment of damages, meaning that's waived. So that won't be an issue. The township agrees that the agreement and affiliated ordinance permanently vacate and end the use of the vacated road as a laid out public road, and that the property compromising the vacated road shall be utilized by the district for local purposes. The township hereby releases and relinquishes to the district and the district successor all right, title, interest, and claim which the township has with respect to the vacated road and the property comprising the vacated road. The district agrees to waive any rights to file exceptions to the vacation ordinance enacted. Again, that relates to a condemnation. In consideration for the township's approval, the district's petition to vacate Paul Avenue, the district agrees to save, protect, and defend hold harmless the township. District agrees to sole responsibility and pay all costs associated with the filing, advertising, and the reporting of this petition. The district agrees any future deeds, land development plans, or property boundary descriptions will incorporate the vacated road and district property. The district agrees to report any appropriate and necessary existing easements to the township or any third-party utilities as applicable within the vacated road. This agreement is for the sole benefit of the parties. This agreement may be executed in counterparts, each of which will be deemed an original. The agreement contains the sole agreements between the parties, and it would have the mayor's signature and Superintendent Bernhardt's signature. So that summarizes.
Great. Can we get a motion to approve resolution 42-21?
I'd like to make a motion.
Second.
So Tunis, and I heard tie between Phillips and Glenn. Was that Glenn? Are you giving me a second? Okay, all right. Okay, are there any questions or concerns on resolution 42-21? No, seeing none. Wow, that's awesome. All those in favor of passing resolution 42-21, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say your name. And Councilman Brilliant is excused.
Many thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Resolution has
Good
passed.
night.
Thank you.
Good night. Thank you.
Mike, thank you.
All right, so next up, we have Public Safety Committee, co-chairs Burt and Blackwell, members Silva and Tunis Jr. Can we get a reading of resolution 43-21?
Thank you, President West. This is a resolution to amend ordinance 2141 to add section 1 to the following: establish a 15-mile-per-hour speed limit on the 80 block turnpike. So please.
Thank you. Thank you for the reading. Can we get a motion to approve resolution 43-21?
So moved.
Silva and Wagner, sorry. Wagner. Anyone like to speak on this?
I would.
Okay, Councilman.
This petition was brought to me, I didn't generate it at all, it was brought to me by the residents of that block. They're having great problems with speeding on their street. And there's a lot of children who live there actually, and they're very concerned about it. The 15-mile-an-hour signs, I've explained to them myself, is certainly not a magic wand, but it can be a deterrent, and they want it very much, the people who live on that street. The police have already been out there and checked the signatures and did what they usually do with respect to one of these petitions. So with that, I'm asking the council to approve it.
Great. Did you get a chance to explain to the residents that the police cannot enforce the 15 miles per hour?
They pretty much already knew that, I think, at least that was my sense anyway. They're looking for any measure that can help as a deterrent, quite frankly, is what they're looking to achieve by this. At one point, they were wondering about making it one way, and I cautioned them that we've been told that actually can have the opposite effect, make traffic faster rather than slow on a given street. So I use the term magic wand to them. This is not a magic wand. It's not going to solve all of your speeding problems there. But if you want, my attitude towards this always has been, if the people on that street, on that block want it, unless the police tell us there's a reason not to do it in that location, which they have not in this instance, that we ought to go ahead and do it.
Right now, I just want to make sure that later on down the line, when the 15 miles per hour the signs are put in, that they're not necessarily coming back to, because they're upset that people aren't being pulled over for speeding over 15 miles per hour. That's all. I mean, it's all over the township. It's a PennDOT requirement. You know, PennDOT is what's stopping it. The only place it's, upheld is the school zone.
The way, and I get your point. I don't think there's any guarantee to prevent people from coming back and asking questions.
That's a very good point. That's a very good point. I just wanted,
And I would simply look at the opposite side of this. If we don't do as they request, and then there's a serious accident on that block, how do we explain that to people who live on the street? So, I think I made it clear to them, this is not going to solve all your problems. And this is a township-wide problem. It's not just on your street. I remember saying to this particular guy, thank you, that I was talking to about it, who was the sort of spokesman who approached me with it. I feel exactly the same way on my own street. Traffic is just getting faster and faster all the time. And it's scary. But anyway, it's enough said on it. I think we should pass it. That's my position.
great, thank you. I was not disagreeing with you.
Oh, no, I understand.
Hoping to make sure we're all on the same page on it. Great. Okay, so, any other questions or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor of passing resolution 43-21, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say your name. Councilwoman Farah is excused. Great, thank you all. Okay, so,
Thank you, everyone, for that.
next up, solicitor report, take it away.
Sure, Madam President. I know the hour is late. Council has seen the work that my law firm, myself, Ms. Richardson, Mr. Walco, and others have done on this agenda. We also work closely with the administration in answering general matters, right to know, code questions and such. So not to belabor what has already been a long meeting, just wanted to see if anybody had any questions. If not, I'll include my solicitor.
Councilman Gwynn, have a question?
Can you update us on what happens at St. Eugene?
Oh,
St. Eugene's, we have completed the agreement of sale. We also have an ordinance that is in play. However, it is now with St. Eugene's council.
Mr. McLean is reviewing. Yes.
Is this something that's going to be done next month? or-
Yes, I anticipate it, yeah. It's all done. The agreement of sale is done. The ordinance is done. It's in Mr. McLean's inbox.
The amount, expected amount to pay?
$590,000. And that's with grant funding from DCED, DCNR, and the county. Is that correct, Mr. Valente?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Thank you for that update. Great. So next up, we have old business. Does anyone have any old business for this evening? Councilman Burnett?
Thank you, Madam President. Could I ask anyone from the administration to give us an update on the status of the Drexel Line Shopping Center development?
Michael Lonte, would you like to?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, Mike Valente, come on down.
Sure. So similar. Good evening again. Similar situation with Aronimink. They're still waiting on getting their permits, so they have to get their FEMA permit, which they're on the last stage of that. I have a phone call with their engineer and then a couple engineers tomorrow to discuss getting their FEMA approval. And then there's also, after they get their FEMA approval, that'll put all their DEP permits in place, MPDES, Joint Permit 105. And then once that's done, we're still going to be waiting on their sewer planning module approval, which is in with the DEP right now.
Are they going for a sewer planning module for the entire development or just parts of it at one time?
They're applying for the entire development.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
Do you see any problems with getting that approval?
It would be, I think it'll be a little more difficult than Aronimink because Aronimink is being deemed a facility of public need. However, they are making a significant contribution to I&I reductions, which will be in the tune of over $350,000 to deal with I&I, and that'll consist of sewer relining and pipe manhole repairs.
And what is the FEMA for? Is that wetlands or is that, excuse me, is it?
That's for their clomer.
What?
That's for a clomer. It's called a clomer. It's a certified letter of map revision. So as part of that project, they have to actually amend the flood map.
For the floodway, okay.
Yes.
All right.
Great.
Well,
Great, yeah.
Drexel line.
Just in case.
Yes.
Yes, November.
When do you think the start of the project would be?
My understanding, they have submitted demolition permits and they're under review right now, but the work cannot start until they have, actually physical demolition cannot start until they have their DEP permits in place, but they can do interior work like any hazardous material abatement or anything like that. So those permits are in the L&I right now. We have met with their contractor. They're just waiting on DEP permits.
Okay, thanks. What would be your best guess when those permits might flow?
We're anticipating, ideally, I would say anticipating the Clomer approval. We're waiting on one signature from a neighboring municipality. Once that's approved, they'll have their
Springfield?
That is correct, yes. That's the meeting I have tomorrow with their engineers.
Okay.
So that'll be, once that's signed off, that'll get their Clomer in place. That puts all their DEP permits in place with the exception of their planning module which I don't have an exact time frame on that. But I know it's in review with DEP. It went through DCJA. They did the tri-party agreement. That's all been,
So with the Clover approval, the NPDS flows right away? I mean, it's automatic?
yeah, well, they've submitted, the DEP, for the joint 105 permit. They are waiting for the Clover to get approved.
Okay. And can they start to you think they're willing to start the demolition without the EDUs being approved?
That's a question definitely ask them.
I mean, is there anything that prevents them from doing that statutorily?
Without their DEP permit similar to Aronimink, they're going to only be able to do limited site work.
Okay, perhaps demolition work? I mean, normally that.
Demolition down to the point where you leave foundations in place and the basement's still there, but no earth disturbance.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
One more question.
Oh, sure.
Has the planning commission of the county approved everything? I mean, you're just saying the DEP.
Well, the county,
I'm saying we were working on a planning commission.
Before the plans actually get in front of council, they have to have their county their county letter. County makes recommendations. They're an advisory board, so that the county recommendations were submitted, and that was in place prior to council voting on the project.
That was part of the subdivision land.
Part of the subdivision land development, yeah.
I have a suggestion that if maybe if the administration agrees with this, why don't we ask them to put up a sign that describes the fact that this is a project under development? I mean, right now, people can drive by that. All they see is deterioration. People that are not familiar with Upper Darby are probably not familiar with the fact that those buildings are going to be demolished. It's going to be a redevelopment project. I think it would speak well for Upper Darby if we announced that this is a project, this is a major project for Upper Darby.
Okay, I think that's a good idea.
Okay, maybe if you could suggest that to them, I think that could be appreciated by, I think we benefit, I think the community would benefit. And appreciate that.
Coming soon.
Yes, coming soon, very important.
We couldn't have put that up a year ago.
Yep.
So-
Right, Councilman Burke, you have anything else?
That one building, I believe the Drexel Hill Pediatrics, is that completely empty?
I have no idea.
Next to the shop right?
Is that where the Ace Hardware?
The medical office.
That's where the Ace Hardware was under.
No, in between. Because the structure of the building is kind of falling apart around the sidewalk, around that area. So I don't know if we should take a look at it next time you're over there.
It'll be something that we would report to L&I and let L&I take a look. Yep.
I don't think anybody's been in there for about 9 months since they started closing. Thought they were going to probably I believe that's the first building that's getting demoed, I believe. It's kind of an eyesore. So,
yeah.
We're coming soon sign.
For sure.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anyone have any other old business? Thanks. Always. What is it, Councilman Siddiq?
Just thank you everyone. Last Sunday event was very successful event and it's good to have all and it was well attended. Thanks to our township administration and also council member as well as our council president too was present at the meeting and in that event. Thank you.
Definitely. We greatly appreciate being there. And it was cool to give out awards. And school director Tina Curry was there as well. So it was really good. Thank you so much. It was a great event. So next up, we have new business. Anyone have any new business? Councilman Wagner.
I'll keep this real brief. Finance Director, could someone just tell us where we are with that and what's happening with that? I for one, I was genuinely sorry to hear the news about Mr. Merrin. I didn't know before he was appointed, but I came to respect him and thought that he was doing a good job. And suddenly now, I gather for health reasons, which is very regrettable, he's left us, I guess. So I just wonder, what's the plan there?
CAO?
So we have, the accounting supervisor is currently overseeing operations, in the finance department. And we will advertise the job and look for a suitable replacement.
We haven't begun interviewing people or anything like that. So, okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Councilman Green?
I'd just like to echo the comments of appreciation for Gary Narn's contributions, improved accuracies. And,
Anyone else?
Council President, if I could.
Sure. Go ahead, Peter.
As I'm sure you are all aware, the Pennsylvania Municipal Pension Plan Funding Standard and Recovery Act, more commonly known as Act 205, requires that municipalities who support pension plans report to the governing body by September 30th the minimum municipal obligations for each pension fund. And so in accordance with Act 205, I just wanted to read into the record that for the firefighters pension plan, the minimum municipal obligation for next year is $2,100,000, For the police pension plan, the minimum municipal obligation is $3,492,143. And for the municipal employees pension plan, the minimum municipal obligation is $912,642. And that concludes my new business.
Can you email those amounts to us?
Sure.
Councilman Green?
I was going to ask the same thing.
See? Great minds think alike. Councilman, do you want to?
I just wanted to make a motion to close new business.
That's one thing. Okay, well, does anyone have anything else for new business?
I just want to say one thing. So, the events committee will be holding a job fair on October 5th from 3:30 to 5:30, and it's going to be at the Ferguson Cemetery. So, we would like everyone to participate. So, if you have any other questions or concerns, you can email the events committee. But I think you guys have all of our information. So.
Yeah,
And it's on the email, it's on the letter, it's on the flyer, the email.
My email address is UGcouncilEventsCommittee@gmail.com. And the phone number is 610-803-7219. There are flyers on the table as well as council for the audience, for members of the residents that are here. And then all council members got the flyers in your folder. If you want extra flyers to hand out at any type of event that you're attending, please let us know and we will get you extra flyers. Are there any other new business?
Is it just me or does anyone else find it ironic to hold a job fair in the cemetery?
Well, so, yeah.
Trick or treat.
It's all good. Any other new business? Seeing none, all those in favor of adjourning the meeting, please signify, can I get a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I motion to adjourn the meeting.
And today, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same. Ayes have it.